Gulu. That guy. Even Vice Admiral, the Ghost Spider, can't take him down. On the dilapidated deck, the sword light was booming, clanging endlessly. The two figures continued to confront each other there. A large number gradually gathered, and the Marines who had already raised their guns and aimed at the two felt dazzled and hard to recognize. Those generals and officers who had experienced hundreds of battles, possessed extremely high military literacy, and kept calm, did not dare to order to open fire easily, for fear of accidentally injuring their own people. For a while, I was a little overwhelmed. At the same time, he was even more shocked by Wilhelm's strength. Especially the Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral who saw the Ghost Spider did not have an advantage, and the situation was precarious several times. In the cabin, the Marine personnel who were responsible for liaising with the headquarters hurriedly reported the news to Naval Headquarters as soon as possible after learning about the outside situation. Sigh. At this time, Wilhelm's eyes froze, his whole body flashed with lightning. Strands of electric arcs jumped and moved, and even the incomparably sharp blade began to intertwine with dazzling electric light. Swipe. His figure was as fast as lightning, and he leapt high. In the right arm holding the 7-star sword, the veins burst out in an instant, accumulating strength there. The silver figure rotated 360 degrees in midair and descended from the sky. Wielding a dark green sword, slashed down without mercy. Kang, bang dang dang, quack, boom. What? A powerful blow. The Ghost Spider's pupils shrank sharply and suddenly changed color. I felt that the tiger's mouth was torn apart, my arms were numb, and the blade almost fell out of my hands. With the amazing electric arc, the muscles and nerves are constantly stimulated. The speed and strength that Wilhelm had shown before seemed to be raised to another level in an instant. Unexpectedly, he chopped off several black blades that crossed and wrapped around armament hockey. The heavy deck could not stop whining, cracking and collapsing. The strands of lightning kept jumping and running. Even if the Ghost Spider had been prepared for a long time, it was immediately surrounded by armament hockey for defense. Still being shocked by the astonishing electric current, every hair stood on end. I just feel that my body is a little heavy and dull. The whole body is paralyzed. Shave, in a blink of an eye. He stomped on his feet, and retreated violently like an afterimage. Relying on observation hockey and rich fighting instincts, although he retreated immediately, he narrowly avoided the critical point. But after all, because of the incessant electric arc raging all over his body was a little paralyzed, and his reactions began to become sluggish. Even a few insignificant flaws are enough for Wilhelm. The Ghost Spider's shoulder was easily torn apart by the incomparably sharp 7-star sword. There was a deep bloody mouth. Shocking. Bang dang dang. Using the return of life to manipulate the hair, throw away those broken blades. The bundles of hair were scorched black from the electric shock, and the messy hair began to shrink back. Only 2 intact blades remained. Electric shock is Devil Fruit's ability. Ghost Spider's face was ugly, startled and angry at the same time. Looking at the silver-haired boy who was too young, with extremely sharp eyes, so cold that people could tremble, and dared not look directly, he couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart. The opponent's swordsmanship, hockey, far exceeded his expectations. Moreover, it seems that there are unknown abilities. Ghost Spider Vice Admiral. A man named Marine's complexion changed drastically, and they all yelled. Regardless of their own safety, they rushed up one after another. Keep this Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral behind. His eyes were not good, but he looked at Wilhelm in front of him with some fear and anxiety. I've seen the 8 swordsmanship before. It's so, but it's just fancy, nothing amazing. After shaking off the blood on the 7-star sword, Wilhelm, whose whole body was sparkling with electric light, looked directly at the crowd in disappointment, clutching his injured shoulder, the Ghost Spider with an extremely ugly face. He was happy to see Lai Shin earlier. In order to learn the opponent's 8-sword-style swordsmanship, he didn't go all out at all. Once he got serious, Vice Admiral of Naval Headquarters was completely overwhelmed. As a hybrid of human and fur tribe, even if he doesn't use his own devil fruit ability, the electric shock technique inherited from the fur tribe alone is amazing and powerful enough. His mastery of electricity is not comparable to that of ordinary fur tribe powerhouses. In the final analysis, this thing depends on how it is used. For the Fur Clan, electricity can only be used superficially as a means of attack. But for him, with his in-depth grasp of electricity, he can even use it to stimulate and strengthen his own muscles and nerves, greatly improving his personal combat effectiveness in an instant. Sigh. The dark green sword edge stained with blood, intertwined with strands of electric arc, kept jumping there. Pointing at the livid-faced Ghost Spider surrounded by Marines, he said lightly, "If your skills stop here, I'll send you on your way. After all, it would be embarrassing to lose to Smoothie and the others. The voice did not fall. The ghost spider was not given a chance to respond. His eyes were awe-inspiring, and his aura became fierce. Holding the 7-star sword, the silvery white figure intertwined with electric current suddenly disappeared in place. The extremely violent hurricane blew past. Faster and more ferocious than before. So fast that the naked eye can't see clearly. In a blink of an eye, a large number of Marines fell directly into a pool of blood. There was also an astonishing electric arc, and many Marines were burnt black from the electric shock, and fell down there screaming. And Wilhelm's offensive didn't stop there, still harvesting continuously. Asshole, the ghost spider's eyes were tearing apart. Stop. Belief in absolute justice does not mean that there is no justice. In order to complete the task, he can do whatever it takes, regardless of the cost, regardless of the casualties. But no matter how ruthless he is on weekdays, it is impossible to watch his subordinates, like pigs and sheep in front of him, let the pirates slaughter them. However, no matter how angry he was, he couldn't directly increase his strength. Kang. 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 Sigh. Little sparks. On the edge of the blade, a shocking gap appeared at some point. The Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral, who rushed forward regardless of his injuries, could barely predict the trajectory of the opponent's actions by relying on his not-so-weak observation hockey, and was able to block the slash that attacked him. Facing the shocking electric current that is impossible to guard against, they are often burnt black and completely paralyzed by the electric current, and almost lose their fighting power and fall limp to the ground. It was almost too late to dodge the terrible attack, and before he knew it, there were a few more bloody mouths on his body. No way to keep up with Wilhelm's ghostly speed. Powerless to stop. Woo-hoo-hoo. Stop it. Get out, on a dilapidated battleship. The silver-white figure swept past like a galloping wind. It was so fast that the naked eye couldn't see clearly, and a large number of Marines couldn't help screaming. One after another, they fell into a pool of blood one after another. Hateful. The face of the ghost spider covered in blood was distorted. He gritted his teeth and ran out, yelling hysterically, "Stop it!" Wielding the blade, he slashed continuously in the strong wind. Not even a shadow of Wilhelm. He could only witness everything in despair. What's the rush? It'll be yours soon. Woohoo. Bang bang. Boom. Boom. Hurricanes gusts. Ship sides, masts, cabins, sails. They were torn apart one by one, and a large number of cut marks appeared out of thin air. But the figure of Wilhelm, who is approaching ultimate, cannot be spotted at all. When the hurricane came, those Marines who wanted to defend and dodge found that their throats, chests and other parts were ruthlessly torn by the cold blade. Not even a shadow can be seen. But for a moment, the entire warship was stained red with blood. Countless Marines fell there, losing their breath of life. The binoculars are protruding, and the death is frightening. It was as if he saw some terrible monster before he died. On the huge deck, only Ghost Spider was left standing there alone. His eyes were red and bloodshot. He stared blankly at the subordinates who were killed one by one. His face was distorted, and his eyes were killing people like killing people. Coupled with that ghostly face, it is impossible to imagine that he is the Marine who represents justice. The veins in the hands holding the blade tightly were bulging, and they turned white. The nails were pinched into the flesh and blood due to too much force, and traces of blood oozed out. Gritting his teeth, he was extremely angry. Damn pirate. Above the mast, a silver-white figure stood, jumping with astonishing currents all over his body. Holding a strange green long sword in his hand, he pointed at the ghost spider indifferently. Next, it's up to you. Don't underestimate Marine's justice, you bastard. The furious ghost spider drank loudly. Shave. He stomped on his feet and jumped out. The figure rushed into the air like an afterimage. Moonwalk. Stepping on the moonwalk and staying in the air, two gleaming blades danced and slashed towards Wilhelm. Spider ghost slash. Cold light ho-ho. The crossed blades are constantly dancing. A series of fiery slashes, like a spider's web. Shrouded towards the silver-white figure. The arm of the mantis is like a cart. The electric light interweaves, jumping and flickering unceasingly. Wilhelm raised the 7-star sword and swung it without hesitation. Flying dragon. Hey! A dazzling fierce slash appeared out of thin air. At a speed visible to the naked eye, it turned into a huge dragon-shaped slash, intertwined with strong electric light, opened its teeth and danced its claws, and rushed out. Roar. The astonishing and unparalleled dragon-shaped slash directly tore the crushed spider web like a shattering blow. Unabated, he slashed straight at the ghost spider. Boom. In a blink of an eye, the menacing Shang-Li slashed. It directly overwhelmed the ghost spider, whose complexion changed drastically and had no time to dodge. He blasted his whole life onto the already dilapidated deck. The huge battleship was directly penetrated. Woo-oh. The strong wind raged, and the battleship shook violently. The sea was boiling, the waves were turbulent, and a large amount of seawater could not stop pouring in. This amazing scene. Let Smoothie, Sneyman and others who were fighting those Marines on the two frigates. All of them couldn't help being attracted by the huge movement, subconsciously looked over, and opened their mouths wide. All I saw was a huge battleship cut off in half. Started to sink. Kai-ah. The long sword slashed away several red-eyed captains of Marine who rushed forward regardless of their own bodies. That guy Wilhelm. The tall and slender Smoothie pursed his lips, a little helpless. Now, I'm afraid I really have to obey him obediently. She had a hunch that her three sisters might lose. Once again, I have a clearer understanding of the strength of this younger brother. I'm afraid I'm going to lose, on another frigate. Stained with bloodline, the bloated Strom was surprisingly nimble and quick, dodging a dozen incoming bullets. Cleanly cut down a few Marines who rushed up desperately. The extremely sharp sword edge, filled with a strange red light, swallowed the water in the bodies of a dozen Marines in succession. Damn it, we were fooled. With the ability to squeeze the fruit, it absorbs a lot of water. Let his body become even bigger, and his height has exceeded 8 meters. For those Marines, Sneyman's aura like a little titan is really intimidating. Just standing there is full of oppressive feeling, making people break out in a cold sweat. She gritted her teeth and swung the knife fiercely. Kang. Directly forced a naval headquarters rear admiral in front of him to retreat. The strength that soared with the change of body shape shook the whole person straight into the cabin. Looking at the sinking battleship on the sea, the tall Sneyman said a little depressed. Forgot, even if you don't use the devil fruit ability, Wilhelm's fur clan blood makes him almost directly equivalent to a special demon fruit power. I still underestimate him. They didn't think Wilhelm would break the agreement. During the battle, in order to win the bet, he privately used his devil fruit ability. With this younger brother's always arrogant and conceited character, even if the enemy is really too powerful and forced to use the devil fruit ability, he will not deny it secretly, but will admit it openly. But in my heart, I still couldn't help feeling a kind of indescribable pride and pride. This is their brother, the masterpiece of perfection, by the Charlotte family. It's one of our own. Crack, crack, not long. Covered in blood, the wet ghost spider is in a mess. He rushed out from the bottom of the cabin in the air, his clothes were ragged, his body was covered with large and small scars, his face was terribly pale, and he was weak due to excessive blood loss. But he had just stabilized his figure, and he hadn't had time to catch his breath in the future. Wilhelm, above, is already moving. One sword-style swallowtail slash. The silver-white figure disappeared above the mast like lightning. In the next moment, like a ghost, he passed the weak ghost spider. Strangely, it appeared on the deck, as Wilhelm calmly put the 7-star sword back into its sheath. The screen freezes. The ghost spider, who was constantly stepping on the moonwalk and staying in the air, spattered blood on his chest. Wow. The ghost spider vomited blood, even mixed with some broken organs. Unbelievably cheeky. He lowered his head blankly and looked at the bone-deep wound on his chest, where blood kept gushing out. Such fast swordsmanship. His eyes gradually became lax. Straight down. Far at the end of the first half of the Grand Line. Adjacent to Naval Headquarters on the Red Line, Marineford. The majestic Naval Headquarters building stands there. The word, Marine, inscribed in silver with iron hooks, and the seagull logo symbolizing peace, in the middle. A heavy and incomparably thick justice force rushed towards us. People can't help being shocked when they look directly at it, and there is a sense of mission to join the Marine, sacrifice their lives for justice, and fight bravely. And at this time, in the highest level marshal's office, Kong, who was Marshal of Naval Headquarters at the time, was bold and grandiose sitting behind his desk. He is discussing with Sengoku, the Admiral of Headquarters Buddha whom he relies on most, and Suru Vice Admiral, the Marine Staff Officer, how to deal with the increasingly severe situation in the Grand Line. Tack. Hasty footsteps. The 3 Marine executives stopped talking and looked out the door in unison. I saw Kong, the adjutant of Marshal Marine, running out of breath, shouting, "Report." "Come in." Signaling his adjutant to come in, Kong asked directly, "What's the matter?" After a hasty salute to Admiral Sengoku and Suru Vice Admiral, the adjutant hurriedly bowed to Kong, and handed a document in front of Kong with both hands. Marshal Kong, the fleet led by the Ghost Spider Vice Admiral suddenly called and asked for help from the headquarters. saying yes, the Vala Sea area has been attacked by the Big Mom pirates. What? Kong jumped up. As for the Buddha Sengoku and Suru Vice Admiral, their expressions also changed. Wait. I remember that Vice Admiral, the Ghost Spider, should be performing missions in the first half of the Grand Line. How could he be attacked by the Big Mom pirates for no reason? Sengoku of the Buddha frowned and said, and the Vala Sea area, I remember that it is a sea area adjacent to the G8 fortress, the distance is not too far. Could it be that woman is crazy and wants to penetrate the sphere of influence into Grand the first half of line? Our intelligence department has not received news of any other changes in the Big Mom pirates. Suru Vice Admiral pondered, and calmly analyzed. A few days ago, there were rumors that a pirate ship with the flag of the Big Mom pirate group passed the coating and came to Sabodi via the Fishmen Island on the bottom of the sea. Archipelago. It has been verified that they are the 3 children of the Long-Leg family in the Charlotte family, and they are underage. In other words, the one who attacked Vice Admiral, the Ghost Spider, might be a few brats from the Charlotte family. Kong's complexion turned black, and he gritted his teeth and said, what does the Ghost Spider do? It's just a few brats with no hair at all. The dignified Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral is helpless and wants help from the headquarters? Talking. He picked up the photo sent by the adjutant. His pupils shrank and his face showed surprise. It was actually a boy with long silver hair, dressed in gorgeous clothes, with a slightly immature face full of cruelty, holding a blood-dripping long sword, surrounded by Marine soldiers lying in a pool of blood. This is a photo that was sent back just now. It has been confirmed that the person who attacked our fleet is a young man with a mysterious origin and an unidentified identity. The adjutant wiped his cold sweat and reported. The Dika Commodore who reported the report was vague, but said that the opponent's swordsmanship was amazing and his speed was terribly fast. The naked eye could not see the opponent's figure clearly. It was like a gust of wind. A large number of Marine soldiers hadn't reacted. Already lying in a pool of blood. According to Dika Commodore's report, when the Ghost Spider Vice Admiral confronted the mysterious boy, he once guessed that the identity of the other party was probably a young member of the Charlotte family, the natural monster, who was rumored to have perfectly inherited Charlotte's Linlin talent. Also, Vice Admiral, the Ghost Spider who was fighting with it, was faintly at a disadvantage, so they reported it to the headquarters immediately and asked for help directly. What? With the strength of the Ghost Spider Vice Admiral. In the face of a direct confrontation, he was suppressed by a boy who looked no more than 15 or 16 years old. It's just unbelievable. In the Charlotte family, the children who have perfectly inherited the talent of Big Mom. Born monsters. Staring fixedly at the silver-haired boy in the photo in his hand, Kong looked a bit ugly. Rumor? Rumors like the Charlotte family? In the past few years, there have indeed been such rumors. Suru Vice Admiral frowned, flashing information about the Charlotte family in his mind. For a moment, she suddenly said, it is said that in the Charlotte family, a natural monster who perfectly inherited Charlotte Linlin's talent was born, and he was called the Trembling Prince. But for a long time, we thought that the Big Mom pirates were just boasting and bragging as usual, so we didn't care much. I'm very sorry, Marshal Kong, it seems that we were negligent. Crane Vice Admiral took the initiative to admit his mistake. She has always been in charge of marine intelligence work. Of course, it is mainly these pirates who are too thick-skinned and boast too much about themselves. True and false, hard to tell. For example, the second son of the Charlotte family of the Big Mom pirates, the strongest star, Charlotte Katakuri, has also been blown into something like, stand up immediately after birth, and never touch the ground on your back. Man. Furthermore, the 2 or 3 cadres under Beast's pirates who have gained fame in recent years are directly comparable to natural disasters. Wherever it went, everything was burned and turned into a fire disaster of scorched earth. What kind of disaster of slavery was like a plague, and no one was spared wherever it went. It sounds like each one is as strong as a real monster, only short of unrivaled under heaven, and world's strongest. Moreover, the trembling noble son of the Charlotte family has not officially debuted yet. With just such a few sporadic rumors, it is inevitable that there is suspicion of self-promotion. The Marine side was unable to gather relevant records and detailed information. There is no way for her, the Marine staff officer, to believe it. Marshal Kong, no matter whether the rumors are true or not, it is undeniable that Marine must pay attention to this brat. The Buddha Sengoku's face became serious, and he said to the Marine Marshal Kong in a deep voice, I know the strength of the Ghost Spider Vice Admiral very well. At this age, I am able to confront him head-on without losing the wind, and even suppress the Ghost Spider Vice Admiral. You can see that terrifying talent. If you really let it go, it might become a huge threat in the future. At this time, a Marine major rushed over, saluting profusely with sweat. Report to Marshal Kong. Don't be too polite. Tell me, what's the matter? Kong couldn't help but jump in his heart. Looking directly at the other party, he asked directly, is it related to the Ghost Spider Vice Admiral? Sengoku and Suru Vice Admiral, who were present at the scene, also had an ominous premonition, and their eyes were fixed on the Marine Major. Yes. Under the watchful eyes of the Marine Marshal, Marine Admiral, and Marine Staff, the three high-level executives who can be said to stand at the top of the power of the behemoth Marine, the Major of the Naval Headquarters almost felt weak in his legs. His face was pale, dripping with cold sweat, and he reported tremblingly, not long ago, the fleet led by the Ghost Spider Vice Admiral sent a farewell signal to the headquarters, and they have completely lost contact. In addition, his life card suddenly burned to ashes, confirming that Vice Admiral, the Ghost Spider, has probably died in the line of duty. What did you say? Clatter. Walla Carl Sea area. On the undulating sea, gunpowder smoke filled the air. On the sea, there are a large number of corpses and shipwrecks, which can be seen everywhere. Blood soon attracted sea beasts and even sea kings. Competing for food there. Very bloody, so amazing. As expected of Master Wilhelm, single-handedly took out the enemies on a battleship, including a naval headquarters vice admiral, all without a single wound. Unexpectedly, Vice Admiral, that ghost spider that everyone hates dogs, was planted in the hands of Master Wilhelm. However, in this way, I'm afraid that it won't be long before Marine will issue a reward to you. The pirates of the Big Mom Pirates and those homies soldiers. All of them worshipped, looking at the silver-white cold and arrogant figure full of awe and admiration. No one expected that without the use of Devil Fruit's ability, it was still the trembling nobleman who ended the battle first and single-handedly eliminated all the Marines on that battleship. To know, generally speaking, Naval Headquarters' highest-ranking battleship. In addition to having a Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral personally sitting in town. There are usually thousands of elite Marines, and there are also some strong generals and officers. But from the beginning to the end of the battle, in less than 10 minutes, the battleship and the thousands of Marine elites had already sunk to the bottom of the sea. Even Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral Ghost Spider, the notorious Marine Vice Admiral in the eyes of New World pirates, was no match at all and was easily killed. Even, it failed to cause the slightest harm to Master Wilhelm. Jumpsuit Kakuzu is undamaged, it's just unbelievable. Unlike Wilhelm, there was a fight. Although the two sisters, Sneyman and Strong, are not bad. But after all, they are single and weak. There are Naval Headquarters Rear Admiral in the battle of two people and one beast, and there are hundreds of Marine frigates including elite Marines. It is inevitable that there will be some minor injuries to some extent. Wilhelm, you win. The strength is the most outstanding among the three sisters, but Smoothie was not injured. It was just because of the fierce battle that it was inevitable that he looked a little embarrassed, sitting there wiping his beloved knife. Looking at Wilhelm, who was completely unharmed and didn't even get bloodline on his clothes, she spread her hands and said, I'm willing to admit defeat. From now on, sister, we will all listen to you. The three sisters are very proud people. Naturally, she disdains to be like those little bitches who broke the contract outrageously and unreasonably and shamelessly relying on her being a woman. I'm really not reconciled. On the side, two daughters, Strong and Sneyman. They were also a little dejected, looking at the sky with nothing to love, and said weakly, I seem to have seen a dark future, and the leisurely days are gone forever. Let them, like Wilhelm, train hard every day and persevere in their practice. Obviously, for those who are a little lazy, it is more uncomfortable than the usual punishment. You don't need to come here. See the ship's doctor come forward, ready to apply medicine and bandages for Strong, Sneyman and the others, and treat the wounds. Wilhelm directly signaled him to step back, and just go and heal the other crew members. Kanglangling. The gorgeous natural teeth came out of their sheaths and lay directly in front of them. In the stunned eyes of the three sisters, the blade could not stop exuding holy brilliance, falling down. Heal Strong and Sneyman. The wound healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. There is no need to re-bandage at all. This is back to normal. Strong and Sneyman were stunned. Smoothie, who witnessed this scene, was also a little surprised. The wound has completely healed. Looking in disbelief at the gorgeous natural teeth in Wilhelm's hand. Of course, they are no strangers to this knife. This was specially built by the Big Mom Pirates, who spared no expense in finding famous craftsmen. At that time, in order to meet Wilhelm's request, Katakuri really took a lot of work. Wilhelm, your natural teeth. Natural teeth are not ordinary knives. Rehabilitate Strom and Sneyman for their injuries. Wilhelm put away his natural teeth, and said calmly, it ate the Paramecia healing fruit, it is a special healing knife. Paramecia healing fruit? Wait, can a knife eat devil fruit too? The three sisters widened their eyes and lost their voices. He stood up in astonishment, and looked at Wilhelm himself in disbelief. One after another stared straight at the natural teeth that had been sheathed around his waist. To put it simply, I used the ability to transfer the fruit to transfer the demon, in paramecia healing fruit, or the ability to the natural teeth. Facing the three long-legged sisters who were relatively close to him, Wilhelm did not hide anything, and explained as simply and clearly as possible. It is equivalent to eating the healing fruit in disguise, so it has the ability to heal the fruit. Transfer the demon inside the devil fruit, so that the knife has the ability of devil fruit. Smoothie stared blankly at Wilhelm, his face full of disbelief. Can such a thing be done? Don't be surprised. The degree of development of abilities also depends on the individual talents of the capable person. Wilhelm is calm. Shrugged, not very proud. On the side, Strawn and Schneemann were also shocked. I just feel that my cognition is about to be subverted. All the time. Their knowledge of Wilhelm's ability to transfer fruit from paramecia. It is only limited to being able to freely shift its position or any target within the line of sight, or within the sensing range of observation hockey in the blind spot of sight. Unexpectedly, Wilhelm could even transfer the demon in devil fruit. Transfer the demon, Smoothie muttered absent-mindedly, and soon thought of something. Staring at Wilhelm closely, he asked in disbelief, wait, you can't even transfer the devil fruit ability from a capable person, can you? Looking at this cheap long-legged sister who has just turned 16, but is already charming. Wilhelm blinked. Guess? No denial, no acknowledgement. Smoothie, Schneemann, Strong. The three sisters looked at each other. Inwardly, it was indescribably shocking. Huge waves were set off, which could not be calmed down. Clatter. The next morning, the sea breeze was blowing. A medium-sized pirate warship equipped with a large number of artillery is slowly moving forward on the calm sea. And the three sisters Smoothie, Strong, and Schneemann was ordered by Wilhelm to get up early and started the training program for the first day. From now on, they have to get up early every morning and practice swordsmanship for more than 2 hours before they can stop to rest and enjoy a delicious breakfast. Then you can rest for half an hour, and then keep training. Confront the stern Wilhelm. The faces of the three sisters collapsed and they complained endlessly. It happened that this was a bet they agreed to with full confidence. And the executor, who was their dearest younger brother, couldn't bear to break the contract at all. After 2 hours, the three sisters were already sweating profusely. But after all, Wilhelm practiced with them, urging them in a disguised form, unwilling to lose face in front of this younger brother, and no one cheated and played tricks. This is the 6 styles, cultivation method, Sister Smoothie, you can learn it next. The 4 siblings finished their breakfast. Wilhelm raised a palm-sized notebook in his hand, and threw it to the 3 Smoothie sisters. This is the loot captured from the ghost spider yesterday. On the above, not only has the 6 style practice method, but also records his experience in practicing the 6 style. Hey, Wilhelm. Listening to the practice plan that Wilhelm arranged for himself and others. The 3 sisters all looked at their younger brother in surprise. You want us all to practice the moonwalk of those guys in Marine? The 6 forms is an advanced physical skill summed up by the world government after hundreds of years of continuous modification and improvement. It is indeed unique. Wilhelm shrugged. Shaved, finger pistol, iron body, moonwalk, tempest kick, paper arts. Others are easy to talk about. If you are not interested, you don't need to learn, but you must learn moonwalk. For him, shave, finger pistol, moonwalk, tempest kick and other physical skills. When practicing alone these years, I have already relied on my amazing talent and monster-like physical fitness, and I have been asking Katakuri and others who have fought against the Grandmaster, 6 styles in Marine. Simulate, try, and master one by one smoothly. Paper arts, iron body and so on, to him who was born with copper skin and iron bones, invulnerable to weapons and guns, and has already awakened observation hockey, it is rather tasteless. But with his talent and physical fitness, it won't take much effort to master it. On the contrary, he is very interested in the 6 style profound meaning, 6 king spear, and the special skills such as life return. It goes without saying that the 6 king's spear is an attack move that can create astonishing shockwaves. With the return of life, you can freely control your body, hair, and internal organs. As long as you pour your consciousness into it, you can freely control any place. Like the ghost spider Vice Admiral. Through the return of life, use consciousness to manipulate your hair to gather, and use it as an arm to perform the 8 sword style. By surprise, the enemy is hard to guard against. Therefore, after finding this wet notebook from the corpse of the ghost spider yesterday and drying it, Wilhelm has read it from beginning to end. I have already memorized the content related to the return of life. But if you want to master such a skill, you still need time to study and keep trying. He feels that the return of life to a certain extent can be said to be the ultimate manifestation of controlling one's own muscles, organs and other aspects of bodily functions. If he can master it perfectly, I believe it will be of great benefit to his strength improvement. In this world, except for the red line, the sea occupies more than 90% of the area. As pirates, we often fight in the sea. If we become demon fruit power, we may accidentally fall during the battle, entering the sea, giving the enemy a chance to take advantage of the risk. Looking at the three smoothie sisters who didn't take it seriously and obviously didn't pay much attention to moonwalk, Wilhelm patiently explained. Don't underestimate such skills. Mastering moonwalk can make people stay in the air for a short period of time, and give you a certain ability to fight in the air. It may be an indispensable life-saving skill at critical times. And after all, as long-legged people, Sister Smoothie, your leg strength is far superior to that of ordinary humans. Mastering moonwalk skills, I believe it will not be too difficult for you. He has already mastered moonwalk himself, knows the strength of these three sisters, and also understands the advantages of the long-legged family. Naturally, one can judge how difficult it is for Smoothie and others to practice moonwalk. In fact, as long as you are willing to put in the effort to train, it is really not difficult. It's just that if you want a grandmaster, it depends on your talent and hard work. Really, so it is. The three Smoothie sisters suddenly realized. In this way, mastering moonwalk is indeed very useful. As long-legged women, it is really not too difficult to practice moonwalk. In particular, Sneyman, who is already a paramecia fruit squeezer and has a deep understanding of how restrained the sea is, his eyes are even brighter. Make up your mind to master a skill like moonwalk. Of course, as a long-legged family, I think physical skills such as shaving and tempest kick are also very suitable for you. It's up to you whether you learn it or not. Wilhelm shrugged his shoulders and added slowly, in the final analysis, the 6 forms are the crystallization of the painstaking efforts of countless strong people, and after hundreds of years of actual combat use, they are constantly summed up and perfected. Even if you don't want to spend too much energy on learning, you can take it as a reference, absorb its essence, and integrate it into your own swordsmanship. He didn't think that the 6 styles were some unparalleled martial arts cheats, but he insisted on forcing the 3 Smoothie sisters to study them. Not to mention stubbornly thinking that if you don't learn the 6 styles, you can't become a strong person or something. I just think it does have something unique. It can be used for reference, absorb its essence, and learn from each other. This can be regarded as a way to make yourself stronger quickly. If you stick too much to the path of the predecessors, stick to the old ways, but don't know how to innovate, and don't have the courage to explore and open up, then you will never be able to walk your own path. Gaw. At this time, a news bird flew by. Wilhelm raised his eyebrows and flicked his fingers. A coin bounced and landed with perfect precision on the money pouch hanging around its neck. Catch the brand new newspaper dropped by the newsbird. Several bounty warrants clipped on it followed and fell. Suddenly attracted the attention of several people. The reward offered by Marine? Wilhelm's picture. When did those Marine guys take it? 200 million Baileys, tisk tisk. Those guys are really well informed, even the shuddering nobleman knows. I saw the reward list headed by him. The silver-haired young figure is clearly Wilhelm himself. It is marked below. The trembling noble's son, Charlotte Wilhelm, unknown ability, bounty 200 million Baileys, no matter life or death. The bottom ones belong to the 3 sisters of the long-leg family, Smoothie, Strong, and Sneyman. Each has a reward of 30 million Baileys. The failure of justice, the tragedy in the waters of Vala Carl. The trembling noble's son, a natural monster of the Charlotte family. Shock. The Marine Hawk's Vice Admiral Ghost Spider was defeated, and the culprit turned out to be. Marine Admiral held a press conference, announcing that Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral's Ghost Spider died in the line of duty while fighting pirates, a heroic sacrifice. Big news. Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral Ghost Spider led the fleet to a fierce conflict with the Big Mom pirates, and the entire army was wiped out. Marine announces a reward of 200 million Baileys for Charlotte Wilhelm, the trembling nobleman, regardless of life or death. On this day, the sea is destined not to be too calm. As the news birds fly around the world, in towns and villages of all sizes, brand new newspapers that still exude the fragrance of ink are scattered, and the sea shakes. In recent years, the world's best-selling Shi Jingbao has been published. A full page of news headlines marked in black and bold fonts as extremely eye-catching. Next to it, there is a photo of Charlotte Wilhelm. It's a little different from the arrest warrant. It looks like a handsome young man with gorgeous clothes and incomparable extravagance. The background is beautiful. It should be at the tea party at Cake Island, the headquarters of the Big Mom pirates. I don't know exactly when it was photographed secretly. What? How is it possible? Are you kidding me? The iron-blooded Vice Admiral Ghost Spider, who was described as more terrifying than evil spirits and frightened pirates, died in battle. Your trembling son? Isn't he too young? When did such a pirate appear in the Big Mom pirate group? This handsome silver-haired boy is actually a member of the Charlotte family, the son of the world's most vicious female pirate, Charlotte Linlin. Gulu. You're only 15 years old, and you're being offered a reward of 200 million Baileys? The sacrifice of a naval headquarters vice admiral. It is not unbearable for the large and small marine bases and fortresses in the Four Seas and even the Grand Line. But any senior general at the vice admiral level, especially the vice admiral of naval headquarters, can already be said to be an indispensable backbone of the marine, with a high status and influence. The sacrifice of Ghost Spider, Marine's Hawk General, was by no means a trivial matter to Marine. Especially in the first half of the Grand Line, where the naval headquarters is located, a senior general representing the backbone of the naval headquarters was killed, and the small fleet with thousands of Marine elites was wiped out. Undoubtedly, it had a very bad impact. When the news spread, it immediately caused an uproar. All over the sea, and even inside the Marine, there was an uproar. Wow. What a handsome man. I'm sure, I've found my Prince Charming. It's so perfect, so cool and handsome, it's over, I realize I'm about to fall. Your trembling son, what a perfect little handsome guy, he is simply the most ideal dream lover. Who has other photos of Charlotte Wilhelm? The Marchioness bought them at a high price. I've decided that from now on, Lord Wilhelm will be everyone's idol. Ah, I really want such a handsome and cold husband. No, I'm in love, but at the same time. People were shocked to find out. After seeing the photo of Charlotte Wilhelm published in the newspaper. Countless women are insane. They didn't pay any attention to the cruel crimes committed by this 15-year-old pirate, and naval headquarters directly offered a reward of 200 million Baileys for his arrest. Instead, each of them was directly attracted by the other party's unbelievably handsome face, as well as his incomparably ruthless and indescribably precious aura. He was madly infatuated with that trembling nobleman, holding his wanted reward list, staring at the photo above, showing a nympho expression. On the streets and alleys, those wanted warrants that have just been posted. In an instant, it was looted by those women who lost their minds. The ages of these women ranged from girls of a few years old, girls in their teens, young women in their 20s, ladies in their 30s and 40s. Big and small, all became Charlotte Wilhelm fans. It's outrageously exaggerated. Similar things happen not in one or two towns, but all over the world. The jaws of countless people were shocked. Charlotte Wilhelm, the trembling nobleman. All of a sudden, he became the most popular pirate among the women in this sea. This was totally unexpected to Marine. At this time, far in the middle half of the New World. Toto Land Sea Area, the headquarters of Big Mom Pirates, Cake Island. Dreamy fairy tale, colorful, huge cake castle. Master Katakuri. Katakuri, the second son of the Charlotte family and the strongest star of the Big Mom Pirates, walked into the hall. He is strong and tall, with short amaranth red short hair, and the lower half of his face is covered by a white scarf, so he cannot see the whole face clearly. Black gloves, black vest, black leather pants, black marten boots. A set of black metal style. It looks a bit cold, with a strong aura. Mother, above the main hall, on the huge throne. A woman with a figure like a small titan, a full 8 or 9 meters high, and a slightly bloated figure was lying there lazily. From time to time, he grabbed the sweet pastry and stuffed it into his mouth. Eat me, I'm going to be eaten, I'm going to be swallowed. Strangely, those pastries had anthropomorphic faces and made strange noises. A series of weird shouts, extremely noisy. It makes people shudder inexplicably. Charlotte Linlin caught a glimpse of Katakuri, enjoying the dessert. The face that had begun to get fat obviously could vaguely see some of the beauty of his youth. Satisfied with the sweet taste, she asked nonchalantly, Katakuri, what's the matter with you? Mom. Wilhelm and the others made a lot of noise in the first half of the Grand Line. Katakuri took out several brand new reward orders, and reported to Charlotte Linlin with some helplessness. They attacked Marine's fleet, killed the naval headquarters Vice Admiral Ghost Spider, and were offered a reward of 200 million Baileys by Marine now. Even Smoothie, Sneyman and the others are wanted by rewards. In Wilhelm's true strength, it stands to reason that of course there is more than just a reward of 200 million Baileys. But Marine's bounty doesn't just refer to strength, but also includes personal assessment of the danger to the world and other aspects. The more vicious and vicious pirates are, the more destructive they are to the people, and the pirates have a bad influence, the rewards are often slightly higher compared to their personal strength. Marine has always had a tradition, but the first time a pirate is offered a bounty, it is generally not too high. Otherwise, if any fledgling pirate, as long as his strength is a little stronger, Marine will not hesitate to offer a huge bounty to him with great fanfare. It is inevitable that the world will laugh at Marine's incompetence. Even a newcomer needs to be afraid to such an extent. In this way, wouldn't Marine lose face? It was the first time that Wilhelm was offered a bounty by Naval headquarters, and the bounty did not hesitate to mention 200 million Baileys. It is enough to see that Marine attaches great importance to it. After all, one Naval headquarters vice admiral and thousands of Marine personnel died. It is by no means a trivial matter. This made Katakuri a little worried. Marine is bound to do something next. It is impossible to let Wilhelm and his party run around in the first half of the Grand Line where Naval headquarters sits and sit idly by. Is it news about Wilhelm? Mama. Charlotte Linlin was a little surprised and sat up. Looking at the arrest warrants of Zhang Tong that Katakuri displayed there, he laughed loudly. Well done, you were worthy of being my mother's son. She was 100% satisfied with Wilhelm, a son who had perfectly inherited her own monster-like talent, was born with copper skin and iron bones, was invulnerable to weapons, and had fur clan blood. Handsome appearance, perfect talent, strong strength. The only thing she regrets is that Wilhelm is not as big as herself. Charlotte Linlin has always had an unrealistic wish, or dream, hoping that one day people of all races can gather together and truly equal. Everyone is the same size as yourself, you don't have to look up at yourself, and you don't have to work hard to look down at them. At a grand banquet, everyone can be happy, there is no racial barrier, and everyone is the same size and height, sitting around a huge round table and enjoying delicious food. That must be a very happy thing. Charlotte Linlin thinks so. Mom. Wilhelm's talent, as a big brother, I know very well. With his average strength, Marine Vice Admiral, of course, cannot be his opponent. Katakuri looked at the complacent Charlotte Linlin, and raised his concerns. But the first half of the Grand Line is after all Marine's headquarters. A Vice Admiral died for no reason, and Marine will never remain indifferent. I'm worried that Marine may target him next. Mama, don't worry, Katakuri. Charlotte Linlin was not worried at all, and said confidently, you and Wilhelm are both my dear children, my most valued right-hand man, and Wilhelm is my mother's most perfect work so far. He can easily defeat that kid Cracker, with his ability. Even Admiral from Naval headquarters would be unable to keep him. Mama, last time I wanted him to be the 4th dessert general of the Charlotte family, but it's a pity that the kid himself refused. She glanced at Katakuri, and said without doubt, you don't have to worry about this matter, let him make trouble outside, even a real sword needs to be sharpened to shine, ma. Paramecia the ability to transfer fruit, she has seen it with her own eyes. If Wilhelm wants to leave with all his heart, who can stay in this sea? It's not a bad thing to let him hone a little outside. Maybe it will grow up sooner. What? Smoothie and the other 3 sisters. Does it matter that there is such a perfect masterpiece as Wilhelm? Although relatively speaking, the talent of the 14th daughter Smoothie is not bad, much better than the 10th son Cracker who has been appointed as the general star by her. But if she died so easily in the first half of the Grand Line, it would only prove that she was too weak. In the eyes of Charlotte Linlin, even all the members of the Charlotte family, including Katakuri, may not be as good as a Wilhelm. That innate, as powerful as himself, monster-like talent. Sooner or later, she will surpass Katakuri, the strongest general, and become the strongest spear in her hand. At that time, even that bastard, Whitebeard, Edward Newgate, what world's strongest man? It is also destined not to stop her ambition to become the One Piece. Yes, Mom. Katakuri hesitated to speak. But he dared not go against Charlotte Linlin's will. Normally speaking, with Wilhelm's ability, it's naturally impossible for anything to happen. But the 3 of them, Smoothie, Strong, and Sneyman, were by his side. If Naval Headquarters is ruthless, order Admiral of Headquarters to attack in person, or let Akainu, Aokiji, and Kizaru, who have monster-like strength and are fully qualified to be Admiral's candidates, send Vice Admiral to go out. If not done well, it is really possible to encounter danger. A day later, Gaia Island. Gunpowder smoke filled the huge port. There are still traces of battle on the sea surface, and the air is filled with a strong smell of blood. A large pirate ship, in tatters. Even the mast was cut off, and the deck collapsed, making it a mess. Above, a large number of pirate corpses are scattered all over the place. I really don't have long eyes. With one hand on his waist and the right hand pressing the long sword on his waist, Sneyman said with a sneer. A group of guys who have just broken into the paradise. Don't know the heights of the heavens and the earth, and dare to provoke my mother with this level of strength. At her feet, stepping on a dead body that lost its moisture and died in horror. And he holds 2 sickle-shaped weapons in both hands. The sea is so big, There are always some guys who think highly of themselves and watch the sky from a well. Strawn shrugged and said with a smile. This shows that your charm, Sneyman, is very good, ahaha. Fenago, the sickle, with a bounty of 5,500 Bailey, was killed like this. Sir Sneyman is really amazing, he took down the FNAGO pirates by himself. I didn't expect that when I came to Gaia Island, I ran into these people who didn't know how to live or die, and they dared to moles Lord Sneyman. However, at least there is some gain. There should be 20 to 30 million Baileys. Some pirates and homies soldiers of the Big Mom pirate group are carrying the spoils from this enemy ship. In addition to supplies such as food, weapons and ammunition, a large amount of gold jewelry and piles of Bailey's cash were piled up there. Eye-catching. So, stepped over from his flagship. Smoothie, who didn't participate in the battle and let Sneyman do it himself, shrugged. As for those treasures, they are not surprised and don't care. Master Smoothie, Master Wilhelm. I found this from the room of the pirate captain FNAGO the Scythe. A pirate hurriedly ran out of the cabin, full of excitement. Holding a wooden box in his hand, he said loudly like offering a treasure, it's devil fruit. Oh. Wilhelm, who was observing the terrain of Gaia Island and looking at the blue sky from time to time, turned his head back in surprise. The three sisters, Smoothie, Strong, and Sneyman, were also attracted and surprised. Obviously, some of them didn't expect that there would be such a harvest. The crew member opened the box, and there was a devil fruit lying quietly on it. The whole body is purple-black, covered with strange spiral patterns, in the shape of a piranha. Brush, for a moment. It has not waited for the pirate to react. The fruit in the box suddenly disappeared out of thin air. Strangely, it appeared directly in Wilhelm's hands, almost making him scream in panic. He stared at this devil fruit in disbelief, and chuckled lightly. I didn't expect it to be it, it's interesting. Wilhelm, do you recognize it? What kind of fruit is this? Smoothie, Sneyman and the others all looked at Wilhelm. There is a devil fruit illustrated book in the Big Mom pirate group. Wilhelm even made a special trip to read it, so he probably recognized it. For a while, everyone was a little curious and couldn't help but look forward to it. Paramecia Munch fruit. After eating, you can eat anything, become a part of the body, or synthesize new things, including steel, guns, etc. Wilhelm's figure flashed, and he came directly in front of Smoothie and the others without paying any attention. Sister Strong, do you want to eat? Wilhelm looked at Strong and said with a smile, Munch fruit's ability users can not only become a big eater like a bottomless pit, but also eat themselves to make themselves thinner. Hear Wilhelm say that. Strong, who was still a little tempted, lost interest in an instant. With a face full of disgust, he directly refused. Don't eat yourself. It's disgusting. Mainly Strom learned about Wilhelm's ability to transfer fruit. Moreover, the relationship between the three sisters and the younger brother Wilhelm is closer than that of other Charlotte family brothers and sisters. It is not too difficult for the other party to find a more suitable ability for him. Naturally, the ability of Munch fruit would not be selected. Munch fruit is indeed a good ability, but its purpose is rather special. Wilhelm nodded and said with a smile, Munch fruit can fuse various metals to form a special alloy, which is powerful enough to make scientists all over the world flock to it. Not to mention anything else, relying on it alone to produce that special alloy will bring a steady stream of great wealth to our Big Mom pirates in the future. If he is not yet a demon fruit power, he might consider this Paramecia Munch fruit. However, it really doesn't suit Smoothie and Strong. Is that so? I stretched my waist. The curves that have gradually become prominent and make most women feel ashamed are vividly displayed. Smoothie laughed lightly. That's quite a reward. You did a good job, these are rewards for you. The tall and slender Sneyman walked over. She patted the pirate who found the devil fruit, her tone full of appreciation. The long sword randomly picked up a pile of jewels on the ground and stuffed them directly into his arms as a reward. Yes, thank you Lord Sneyman. The pirate was overjoyed, holding those heavy treasures, grinning Kakuzu. And the pirates all around had fiery eyes, envy, jealousy and remorse on their expressions. If they had volunteered to search for those treasures first, they might have been rewarded by Lord Sneyman. Woohoo, the wind howled. There is a vast expanse of whiteness, located on the White Sea at an altitude of 10,000 meters. A huge vulture fluttered its wings, carrying Wilhelm and the three Smoothie sisters, approaching the huge island in the distance. Tisk, incredible. Is this the legendary Sky Island? The air here is too thin, and it's hard to breathe. Let the pirates of the Big Mom pirate group wait in place on Gaia Island. Following Wilhelm and Snow Mastiff Fingley, the three sisters, Smoothie, Strong, and Sneyman, who came to an altitude of 10,000 meters, looked at the White Sea of clouds, in shock, and were also a little delighted. There is also a dark island that is getting closer and closer ahead. Some people can't imagine that there are 2 layers of sea in the sky, thousands of meters to tens of thousands of meters, by high and by high. Soon. Fingley screamed. Speeding forward, the 4 of Wilhelm came to the huge island. It was a lush island with lush vegetation, circling there. Come down slowly. The 3 Smoothie sisters couldn't wait. Jumped down from the top, stepped on the island, and looked at the surrounding environment curiously. It's almost the same as Qinghai where we live. Looking at the exaggeratedly large giant trees that covered the sky and the sun, Sneyman said in surprise. These trees are much bigger. Because of the special climate and environment here, the fish and shrimps and other creatures here are generally larger than those in Qinghai below, even the plants are no exception. Wilhelm briefly introduced. It was also the first time he came to Sky Island, looking at the surrounding environment casually. That's a different visual impact. It was indeed a bit shocking. Normally speaking, Sky Island doesn't have real land, it's all processed island clouds. Stepping on the somewhat soft ground, Wilhelm smiled directly at the 3 sisters Smoothie, Strong, and Sneyman and said, and this island is just above Guy Island. Don't you think it's a coincidence? Eh? Sky Island has no land? Smoothie raised his eyebrows when he heard this. Looking at his younger brother, with surprise. Then Wilhelm, what do you mean? I think, if the legendary Golden Land really exists, this island should be a part of Guy Island. It is likely to be sent to Sky Island alive by an irresistible force. Wilhelm shrugged and said with a smile, it may also be the ability of devil fruit like lion fruit, or it may be the power of nature, such as giant soaring ocean currents. Wilhelm, do you mean that this may be the legendary Golden Land? The 3 sisters couldn't help but their eyes lit up. They are not ignorant of lion fruit's abilities. It is said that their mother, Charlotte Linlin, was once on the same boat as Golden Lion Shaki, but they split up and went their separate ways. In the middle half of New World, the Big Mom pirates occupying the waters of Toto Land had conflicts with the flying pirates led by Golden Lion. They even witnessed Golden Lion, Shiki's lion fruit ability when they were young, how exaggerated it is. I was once frightened by the huge islands floating in the sky, as if they might fall down at any time. With some special devil fruit abilities, it is indeed possible to send such a huge island to Sky Island. Those unimaginable devil fruit's abilities are indeed possible to do such amazing things. Strawn couldn't help but said, but the soaring ocean currents are too exaggerated. Living in the New World all year round, they have a clearer understanding of the treacherous and unpredictable climate and environment of the Grand Line than people in the first half of the Grand Line and even the rest of the world. However, Wilhelm's assumption that a huge soaring current directly sent the island to an altitude of 10,000 meters is a bit exaggerated, which makes people unbelievable. Sister Strong, it is because of the mysterious unknown, and unbelievable, that are beyond common sense and subvert cognition. Wilhelm did not argue, and said with a smile, that's why Grand Line is called Grand Line. There are intruders, catch them. At this time, a series of strange shellfish flew over. A large number of clouds spewed out, forming an incredible cloud road. One after another strangely dressed figures slid along the cloud road and rushed up quickly. Surround Wilhelm et al. The eyes are not good, full of vigilance and hostility. Roar. Fingery, who had recovered his snow mastiff form, bared his teeth. He was about to transform again to kill, but was stopped by Wilhelm. People from Qinghai, why did you enter the country illegally? You even trespassed on the island of gods, a Peyoto. The captain of the gods' guard looked down at Wilhelm and the others, and said coldly, this is the place where only gods can live. You have committed an unforgivable sin. Oh? Wilhelm paid no heed, he looked straight into the air. I saw a horse with wings and a Madara point, flapping its wings and flying over. Above, sat a figure, dressed up as a knight in silver armor. He said lightly, are you the god they talk about? Meanwhile, the 3 girls, Smoothie, Sneyman, and Strong, all showed contempt and sarcasm. He seemed relaxed and not worried at all. God? Ridiculous. Intruders, quickly catch them. Don't try to resist, Qinghai people. If you dare to act rashly, you will be decapitated in an instant. The coast. A group of 4 people and 1 beast. Surrounded by hundreds of members of the gods' guard. These Sky Island guards all have bad eyes and are full of hostility. A large number of wound arrows aimed at Wilhelm et al. The atmosphere is a bit tense. God of Sky Island? Looking indifferently at Gonfall, Wilhelm said sarcastically, is there such a weak god as you in this world? Presumptuous. The captain of the gods' guard yelled, full of arrogance, and yelled there. This is Lord Gonfeur, the supreme god of Sky Island. How can you, a lowly Qinghai person, offend you? Hey. A fingernail-sized, almost invisible blood-colored airblade came through the air like lightning. It directly penetrated the captain's body, bringing out a bloody flower. The whole person screamed and fell off the cloud road. And Wilhelm took his right hand back without any haste. The incomparably white index finger was slightly bent, and the nails looked extremely sharp. Makes the scalp tingle. Al, riding the strange winged horse, the god, Gonfall, who was watching there, changed color. Some were startled and furious, glaring at Wilhelm. People from Qinghai, you are too cruel. As he spoke, he raised the weird spear in his hand. About to rush over. For a moment. Wilhelm walked slowly. The whole person seemed to have done nothing. But one of the guards of the god's guard uttered screams in unison. One after another strangely fell into a pool of blood. In the gradually dilated pupils, there was still fear and bewilderment. What? This is. Gonfor, who was about to rush up with a sharp spear, shrank his pupils and his face changed drastically. But only for the next moment. He disappeared abruptly on his mount. Appeared in front of Wilhelm out of thin air. Brush. A hand firmly grasped Gonfor's neck, lifting him up in the air. Gonfall was flushed with horror, struggling there. It was resolved in an instant, still as strong as ever. A group of guys who were overwhelmed. Witnessing this astonishing scene that happened in the blink of an eye, without even having time to react. Familiar with Wilhelm's exaggerated ability, Smoothie, Sneyman and the others, who had already been mentally prepared, were not surprised, and chuckled there. Looking at the unbelievably handsome, somewhat cold silver figure in front of him, his eyes were full of splendor. Full of indescribable pride. Woo, at this time. The pink, winged strange horse reacted, and was about to flap its wings and charge forward, trying to save its master. Roar. The extremely ferocious Fingli bared his teeth and rushed out. The pair of golden horns are shining and majestic. The fluffy snow-white hair makes it look like a white lightning, extremely fast. It directly knocked Gonfuer's mount into the air. Boom. The strange horse howled, unable to fight back. A big tree was broken in the middle, and a large cloud of smoke and dust flew up. From today onwards, I am the supreme god of Sky Island. Wilhelm looked indifferently at Gonfor, who was held in the air by himself with one hand, and said lightly, "Do you have any objections?" The incomparably cold, golden pupils that were too sharp to look directly at made Gonfall's heart tremble. "Don't even think about it." Gonfall yelled angrily, struggling there. With the knight spear in his hand, he is about to attack Wilhelm. Sigh. Instantly, a terrible flash of lightning directly overwhelmed Gonfall. It made him scream directly. I do not know how long it has been. When Gonfall, who was blackened and passed out, woke up. Find yourself lying inside a spacious palace. Surrounded by a group of God's guard members kneeling there, trembling. And on the throne that originally belonged to him, a silver figure was sitting. It was the mysterious young man who had easily killed the guards he brought out before, and captured him directly. The three young girls with very long legs and strange proportions sat casually aside. You. Gonfall's eyes widened in disbelief. The guards I trusted the most on weekdays actually betrayed me. Lord Gonfall. I'm so sorry, we had to give in. Otherwise, they will slaughter everyone on Angel Island. Those companions who did not give in have already been killed by them. Seeing that God, who was originally serving, woke up. A member of the guard of the name God turned his head away in shame. What? Knowing the cause and effect, Gonfall changed color, startled and angry. Sitting on the head with murderous eyes staring at him, Wilhelm, who couldn't help but feel heartbroken with his innate aura, gritted his teeth and said, "People from Qinghai, what do you want? From today on, Sky Island is what I say." Wilhelm looked down at him, and said lightly, "However, the specific management affairs here are still managed by you, the priest, and I will not interfere. I hope you are more sensible." The implication. It is to let this original God serve as the priest under him. After all, it would be too troublesome to directly manage Sky Island. He has no interest and doesn't want to waste so much energy. He only needs the residents of Sky Island to obey him absolutely. Don't even think about it. Gonfall flatly refused. With a face full of resoluteness, he said loudly as if death was at home, "Even if you kill me, don't make me submit to you. Don't refuse so quickly." Looking down at Gonfall, Wilhelm said with a sneer, "You, the so-called God, do have a bit of prestige in the hearts of Sky Island residents, but you are not irreplaceable. Although the process may be troublesome, I don't mind letting the Sandia clan replace you completely. I think they should be happy to return to their original hometown." Hearing this, Gonfall's complexion changed drastically. He never imagined that the other party knew so much about the situation between Angel Island and the Sandia clan. Given the Sandia clan's hatred for the original residents of Angel Island, once Wilhelm conquered them and used them to suppress Angel Island, it would be an unimaginable disaster. Clenching his fists tightly, he gritted his teeth and lowered his proud head unwillingly. You won. I am willing to submit to you, but you can't kill innocent people at will and bully the residents of Angel Island. Are you making a condition with me? Wilhelm smiled half-smile. Those sharp golden pupils looked down at the other party from high above. As if he could directly see through the opponent's heart, Gonfal couldn't help but tremble. No, please forgive my rudeness. The supreme god, Gonfal knelt down on both knees, kowtowed heavily to Wilhelm, and said, this is my only request, please. I don't like killing, but only if you are sensible enough. The silver-white figure suddenly disappeared on the throne. Appeared in front of Ganfer in an instant, patted him on the shoulder and said lightly, facing the existence of force majeure, I advise you not to have any thoughts that you shouldn't have. Yes. Gonfal's body trembled, and he lowered his head in response. Also, my name is Charlotte Wilhelm. From now on, you can call me Master Wilhelm. Yes, Master Wilhelm. Hiss, is this the legendary Golden City? Unbelievable. 2 days later, deep in the forest. In an area submerged by the sea of clouds, where the edge cannot be seen. As the large sea of clouds was cleared by Wilhelm's direct orders to the God's Guard, the former ruins of the Island of Gods gradually revealed their true colors. Some couldn't believe it as they looked at the dazzling Golden City, covered with moss, full of years of precipitation, and the countless gold. Smoothie, Strong, and Sneyman couldn't help opening their mouths. Full of indescribable shock. No wonder Wilhelm wants to rule directly over Sky Island. Grabbing a golden scepter casually and playing with it, Strong was amazed. If these treasures are brought back to Cake Island, Mom will definitely be very happy. Sneyman said overjoyed. At that time, look at Big Brother Peros and Katakori Big Brother, these self-important guys, how dare you underestimate us again? No, these things, Wilhelm may have other plans. Smoothie took a deep breath and said calmly, listen to his arrangement. Unlike others, she can keenly perceive that on weekdays, Wilhelm is obedient to her mother, Charlotte Linlin, but not respectful in heart, not even close at all. She felt that Wilhelm must have other ideas because he specialized in subduing Gonfoer and others. But no matter what the purpose is, Smoothie will unswervingly trust this younger brother unconditionally. As always, support each other, even if it is against mother's order. 2. Sneyman nodded thoughtfully. Putting her smile away, she looked around. By the way, where is Wilhelm? When, for a moment, a huge bell tower lay in front of them. The dazzling golden pendulum struck the huge golden clock. Golden bell? That's the main text of history. Unbelievable. The legend is indeed true. The sound of the bell, which seems to purify the soul and make people feel refreshed, resounds through the sky. The three sisters were stunned, shocked and inexplicably surprised. They all looked at the unbelievably handsome silver-white figure standing on the clock tower at some time. Don't worry too much, they don't have long legs, they can't run. Wilhelm said calmly. There is too much gold, our ship is too small to hold it. He didn't know that Smoothie had misunderstood his behavior, and even secretly made up his mind that even if he violated Charlotte Linlin's order, he would not hesitate to do it for himself. In fact, he doesn't reject the Charlotte family at all. On the contrary, in the future, he will step by step bring the behemoth of the Big Mom Pirates into the right track, so that it will continue to grow at the fastest speed. Using these massive treasures to develop the power of the Big Mom Pirates is to develop their own power. How could he be reluctant? It's just that, at that time, it may take a little effort to clean up some disobedient ones. As for that Charlotte Linlin woman, in Wilhelm's mind, he is just a perfect toolman. When he has accumulated enough strength, he will establish a perfect image in front of the brothers and sisters of the Charlotte family. It is hard to say who will be the master of the Charlotte family. A cruel, violent, ruthless, crazy woman who only thinks about desserts, goes crazy from time to time, destroys wantonly in her own home, and doesn't recognize her relatives. A family and brother, who is wise, resourceful, wise, united and friendly, and can bring them a bright future. Who are those members of the Charlotte family willing to follow when they also have monster-like powers and can replace Charlotte Linlin? The mother, who is devoid of humanity and always treats her children as tools to be manipulated arbitrarily, making them fearful and restless day and night. How much affection is there in the hearts of the children of the Charlotte family? Undoubtedly, fear is far greater than respect. But it's still early days, before he had the capital to confront Charlotte Linlin head-on. Wilhelm wasn't in a hurry to get angry with that woman directly, there was no need for that. Anyway, in the final analysis, it's just domineering on Cake Island. If you don't interfere with yourself, you can say anything. Of course, if you want to fight against the world government and realize your great ambitions, it is not enough to rely solely on those members of the Charlotte family. He still needs to make another plan to absorb and cultivate more combat power that is loyal to him. Master Wilhelm. Gonfal came over, looking at these ruins, full of shock. I can't help but feel unspeakably complicated and bitter. They have occupied it for hundreds of years, but have never found these real treasures. But people from Qinghai, who had been here for less than a day, found this place. Do you know where Burka is? Wilhelm asked straight to the point. He didn't know whether the future Thor Enel got the Logia Thunderfruit at this time. But it doesn't matter. As long as the location of Burka can be found, the possibility of finding Logia Thunderfruit will be greater after all. He even sincerely hoped that the other party was already a capable person. That way, with the ability to transfer fruit, it is easy to deprive it of its ability. He didn't want to wait another 10 or 8 years. The top Logia ability is undoubtedly the most suitable for Smoothie. From the very beginning, Wilhelm has regarded this Smoothie sister who is outstandingly talented, far superior to the rest of the Charlotte family, and has not yet become Demon Fruit Power, as his future right-hand man to train. If you can really get Logia Thunderfruit, with the strength of Thunderfruit, if she works hard enough, she may not be able to occupy a place among the world's top powerhouses in the future. Burka? Hearing this, Gonfal couldn't help shrinking his pupils. The three sisters, Smoothie, Strong, and Sneyman, couldn't help looking over. Full of surprise and curiosity, 5 days later. The sea of white clouds. The sea was choppy, and Wilhelm rode the Fingli, following the directions given by Gonfal. Arrived at the destination, Sky Island Burka, which is far away from Li Tian's island. Is it finally here? Fingli circled, descending on the white island cloud. But in the blink of an eye, a large number of heavily armed figures appeared here. Surround them. The intruder. A figure dressed as a knight flew over riding a strange bird. He looked down at Wilhelm in front of him and Fingli, who had turned into a snowmastiff, and said with a sneer, I am the god-tier officer of Burka. You have committed the crime of illegal entry and have been arrested. I have a question to confirm. Is your god called Enel? Wilhelm looked at the person coming. No nonsense, just ask directly. These guards appeared too quickly, and he wondered if someone was spying on him. He wants to confirm whether that Enel has become a demon fruit power. If you are already a capable person, combined with the ability of Thunderfruit, you can receive radio waves, which greatly enhances the ability and range of Shingang, and you can hear the voices of people in the entire Sky Island. It is not surprising to find out that he and Finger are coming in advance. Bold. How dare you call the name of God directly? You have committed an unforgivable capital crime. Quick. Everyone get out of here. God's punishment is coming. For a while, the faces of the guards present all changed drastically. Everyone was sweating coldly, as if something terrible was about to come, and they were terrified. Without hesitation, he turned his head and ran, scrambling to escape from here. Sigh, chirp. The next moment, the terrifying thunderlight illuminated the entire sky. Everything is reflected incomparably pale. A huge thunder column descended from the sky. He blasted straight at Wilhelm and Fingli, who were standing there. People can't help changing color and scalp numbness. Kang Lang Lang. The 7-star sword unsheathed like lightning. Hey! A fierce and eye-catching slash suddenly slashed towards the sky. Without showing any weakness, he went out to meet the thunder pillar that fell from the sky and collided with it. Boom. Accompanied by a loud bang. Terrible airwaves raged unceasingly. The dazzling light makes it impossible to open your eyes. Under the shocked and inexplicable eyes of all the guards and the god-tier officer. The silver-white cold and proud figure stood there. Safe and sound, unscathed. What? How is this possible? Gulu. He blocked God's punishment. Now Master Enel is about to get angry. A guard named Burka dropped his mouth open. Full of disbelief, he cried out aloud. But their faces were still full of horror and awe, and they didn't dare to approach. They knew all too well about that Master Enel. God is omnipotent and cannot be offended. Interesting. Wilhelm laughed. The previous attack was sent by Enel. There is no doubt that he has acquired the ability of Logia Thunderfruit. And, at some point, he has seized Burka's throne and ruled this Sky Island. In this way, it can save him a lot of time. Sigh. Very abrupt. In midair, lightning flashed. A tall figure appeared and floated there. The person who came was a young man in his 20s, wearing a headscarf and with long earlobes. Holding a golden scepter in his hand, with his upper body bare and a few tomo drums on his back, he looks arrogant. Yahahaha. The intruders from Qinghai. Enel looked down at Wilhelm and laughed arrogantly. You really surprised the god, you actually blocked my god's judgment. People from Qinghai, do you want to become a surrender to the god? He was extremely conceited, and said arrogantly, only a strong person like you is qualified to be a follower of God. Unfortunately, I don't need you to follow. Staring at Enel in front of him, Wilhelm spoke lightly. After confirming that the opponent is already a Logia Thunderfruit capable user, he didn't mean to talk nonsense, and the powerful observation hockey directly locked on Enel. A strange blue light flashed across his eyes in an instant. The next moment, without warning, swipe, Enel suddenly disappeared in place and appeared directly in front of him. And, the 7-star sword that has been wrapped around hockey pierces through the heart. All this happened in the blink of an eye. Let everyone present be caught off guard. Everyone's eyes widened, and their jaws dropped to the ground. I thought I was dazzled. Can't believe this scene is real. What? Enel's eyes widened. Looking at Wilhelm in front of him, he was full of bewilderment and disbelief. I didn't react at all, and couldn't understand what was going on. How is this possible? He looked pained and vomited blood. His eyes were full of unwillingness, and he looked down at Jianfeng who had pierced his heart, with a face full of unwillingness to believe it. Isn't he an ability user of Logia Thunderfruit? How can a mere sword hurt me? Moreover, why did he suddenly appear here and bump into the opponent's sword? Thunderfruit is indeed a good ability, but do you really think that if you are lucky enough to get the ability of Logia, you will be invincible? Looking disdainfully at Enel, who was lying there and gradually losing his vitality, Wilhelm's tone was full of sarcasm, and he said with a sneer, I don't know how many people like you sit in the sky, arrogant and conceited, and die in the sea every year. Sorry, Thunderfruit, I just accept it. A faint blue light flashed. In his hand, an ordinary fruit is gradually changing. At a speed visible to the naked eye, it turned light blue, and strange convex patterns appeared. After a few days, Island of the Gods Apeado. Wilhelm and Fingli returned with a rewarding experience. Except for that Logia Thunderfruit. In addition, after taking Enel from Burka to rule Burka, he asked Burka scholars to design the blueprint of the Arc Proverbs, which is far more than the hundreds of pieces he collected in the past few years. The shell is even rarer, the blow shell that can emit a powerful wind. The Proverbs kind of arc that uses electric current as a power source and can fly directly is undoubtedly very suitable for Logia Thunderfruit's ability users. Even if Smoothie may not be satisfied with the appearance of this proverb, he can directly ask a famous craftsman to remodify the design based on the original drawings of the Arc Proverb, combined with the original power system. Wilhelm, you're finally back. Is everything going well? These couldn't all be gold. The 3 Smoothies, who had been waiting there for a long time, looked in surprise at the spoils brought back by Wilhelm. A big bag, so full, I don't know what it is. They didn't know what this somewhat mysterious younger brother was doing to Burka all of a sudden. It's just a guess that, like this Sky Island, they want to conquer there too. What are you thinking? Wilhelm, who had returned after a long journey, rolled his eyes and said with an angry smile, except for some design drawings, all of them are a kind of wind shell that is rarer than Sky Island, even rarer an extinct wind shell, and it will be of great use in the future. However, the bigger gain is this. He took out an ordinary wooden box from his arms and threw it at Smoothie. He said with a smile, this is a gift for Sister Smoothie. Gift? Smoothie was surprised. He caught the wooden box and smiled. On the other hand, Strawn and Sneyman were also a little curious. Crack. The wooden box opened. A whole body light blue, with a convex pattern, shaped like a pineapple fruit, appeared in front of the 3 sisters. They couldn't help shrinking their pupils. This is devil fruit? The 3 of them looked at Wilhelm in unison, full of disbelief. I can only say that Sister Smoothie, you are lucky. You are destined to be with it, and it should belong to you. Looking at Smoothie's bright face, Wilhelm said with a smile, Logia Thunderfruit, among the countless devil fruits, is also extremely rare and powerful with peak abilities. Logia Thunderfruit. Hearing this, Smoothie was both surprised and delighted. Is this real? It's actually the rarest Logia among the 3 devil fruit types. And Strong and Sneyman couldn't help swallowing. Looking at the light blue devil fruit in Smoothie's hand, he couldn't believe it. Even if they are sisters of the same mother, they can't help being full of envy. On this sea, devil fruit is divided into 3 types, Paramecia, Zone, and Logia. Paramecia devil fruit can manipulate specific substances, or cause special changes in the body, and make certain physical attacks invalid, etc. Eaters will gain power beyond ordinary people, and their bodies will also be different from ordinary people. It is the most numerous but also the most complicated among the 3 series of fruits, with various abilities. According to the performance of abilities, it can be roughly divided into 3 types: superhuman, superpower, and creation. Like Wilhelm's own Paramecia transfer fruit and Schneemann's Paramecia squeeze fruit, they belong to the category of superpowers. Zone Devil Fruit is a game that can transform people into different animals. In this way, the eater can obtain the unique wild power of animals, improve the quality of the body, and obtain the corresponding characteristics of animals. At the same time, the ability user will have 3 stages of transformation: human form, human beast form, and beast form. In addition to normal zone abilities, there are relatively rare ancient species, and phantom beast species that are said to be rarer than Logia. And Logia Devil Fruit can transform the body of the capable user into corresponding natural elements, such as magma, flame, lightning, sand, swamp, etc., making the body incorporeal. This process is called elementalization. Elementalization nullifies physical attacks, non-hockey attacks, and most energy attacks. At the same time, the capable person can also create natural elements through the body to become an extremely powerful means of attack. Therefore, Logia is recognized as the strongest of the 3 series of Devil Fruit. Of course, there are also very few special Paramecia abilities that are considered not inferior to Logia abilities. Which is stronger and which is weaker is hard to say. But no one can deny it. Every Logia's ability is definitely not far behind. Not to mention, it is the Logia ability like Thunder Fruit, which is the most common and terrifying natural phenomenon in the world, like thunder and lightning, which makes most creatures naturally fear and awe. Without a doubt, even among the many Logia Devil Fruit abilities, it is the top row. Thank you, Wilhelm. Grab that heavy Thunder Fruit. Looking at this handsome, high-spirited, and impeccably perfect younger brother, Smoothie's heart was filled with emotion, his eyes were a little moist, and he immediately reached out and hugged him. She didn't expect this younger brother to always remember her promise. It really brought back to her a power far stronger than that Paramecia squeezed fruit. Moreover, it is still a top Logia like Thunder Fruit. Eat it. Looking at the touched Smoothie. With doting eyes in Wilhelm's eyes, he smiled lightly and said, "Sister Smoothie, I told you that you won't regret your original choice." At the beginning, this sister was willing to believe in herself and give up the Paramecia that should belong to her, so he would not let her down. Then sister, you're welcome. Smoothie stopped coddling. The persistence in my heart became more firm. Even if one day in the future, Wilhelm really had a conflict with their mother, she would not hesitate to stand by his side. Even if she had to face the mother who, in her mind, was more terrifying than evil spirits, full of cruelty, and would never allow anyone to disobey her, Charlotte Linlin. Vomit. It takes a split second. Smoothie covered his mouth tightly. His complexion turned blue and purple, and it became very exciting. Sorry, Sister Smoothie, I forgot to remind you. The taste of devil fruit will be unforgettable for a lifetime. Sigh, chirp, bang bang, boom, boom. Hey, chi-chi, in the messy forest. 2 extremely fast figures collided continuously there. 30 million volts Thunderbird. The intense electric light kept flashing, illuminating the entire area incomparably pale. The heroic Smoothie held a long sword and was bathed in intense electric light. Hey. The lights on his left hand intertwined, and a huge Thunderbird suddenly condensed out, lifelike. It flapped its wings and rushed towards Wilhelm in front of it. Very ferocious. Brush. Silver long hair flutters. Wilhelm's heroic and majestic figure was as fast as lightning. He jumped into the air suddenly, dodging the Thunderbird that was attacking like lightning. Relying on his own rather weak observation hockey prediction, he locked Smoothie's position. Flying blade and bloodclaw. The 5 fingers with sharp nails formed into claws, with a cold light shining, and grabbed it fiercely in front of the air. Shesh. Several bloody claw blades appeared out of thin air. Carries armament hockey that flows like a sakura flower. The atmosphere was torn apart, and it struck out like lightning. Kang, kang. Sparks sputtered, sonorous and piercing. Relying on the observation hockey, which had been awakened several years ago and has been trained proficiently, Smoothie swung his sword to block the bloody claw blades that kept attacking. Hey, she flashed fiercely. The lightning flashed and disappeared in the same place in an instant, and flew directly in front of Wilhelm. The huge long sword swung up, intertwined with strong lightning, wrapped around the armament hockey she had just grasped, and slashed down fiercely. Kang. The sound of gold and iron clashing was ear-piercing. An incomparably white right hand is as unshakable as steel. It collided with the incoming sword edge, and was completely immune to the strong electric shock. He actually blocked Smoothie's powerful blow with his bare hands. Not bad. Wilhelm's mouth curled up, but it didn't stop attacking. In an instant, his hands were clawed, wrapped around the pitch-black hockey, and also intertwined with strands of electric light. Suddenly, he stormed towards Smoothie in front of him. Wilhelm didn't use his favorite swordsmanship at all, nor did he use Paramisha's ability to transfer fruits. Just relying on that tyrannical physical skill alone, he confronted Smoothie, who acquired the Logia Thunder Fruit ability. His strength skyrocketed in a short period of time, and he made a huge leap. Clang. Clang. Between electric light and flint. The blades and sharp claws constantly clashed and collided, sputtering sparks. The lightning in the sky is so dazzling that people can't look directly at it. In the blink of an eye, the two had fought dozens of times. Relying on the newly acquired Logia Thunder Fruit ability, combined with that amazing electric wave, Smoothie's own observation hockey has been greatly improved. Even in the face of Wilhelm's continuous, dizzying attacks, he couldn't react at all. Already fully capable of dealing with it, with ease. Tisk tisk, it's completely different from before. Indeed, it has completely changed into a person, it is too powerful. Witness this amazing confrontation. In the distance, Strong and Sneyman, standing there with their arms folded and watching the battle, were deeply shocked. Although Wilhelm didn't even have the ability to use devil fruit, or even his sword skills, his tyrannical strength was unquestionable. It is amazing that Smoothie, who is only 16 years old, has survived until now. After all, not everyone is born with powerful talents like their younger brother, and his understanding is even more extraordinary. He is born with copper skin and iron bones, invulnerable to swords and guns, and infinitely powerful. It is inevitable that I am a little envious of Smoothie's opportunities. Of course, more is to be happy for each other. The relationship between the three sisters has been very close since childhood, and it can be said that they are inseparable. It's not enough to directly give birth to any jealousy. As the elder sister of one mother among the three, Smoothie is already much more talented than them, and she is valued by her mother, so she was given Paramisha squeezing fruit earlier. If Wilhelm hadn't stopped him, among the many children of the Charlotte family, Sneyman, who was not very talented, would have no chance of gaining the ability to squeeze the fruit. Not to mention, Wilhelm has already promised. When I have a chance in the future, I will also find a devil fruit ability that is more suitable for her than Paramisha Munch fruit for Strawn, who is the only one among the three sisters who does not have demon fruit power. Brush. The extremely sharp claws tear through the atmosphere like lightning, ruthlessly grabbing. Without hesitation, Smoothie turned into an element instantly. It turned into a flash of lightning, disappeared in place, and appeared more than 10 meters away. He narrowly avoided the blow again. Boom. It's like destroying Gula. The earth was easily torn apart. Smoke and dust flew up, and shockingly huge claw marks appeared there. People can't help but break out in a cold sweat. Sigh, chirp. 60 million volts Thunder Beast. Incomparably intense thunder light continuously interweaves and jumps. Holding the blade in his hand, surrounded by astonishing electric lights, he pointed directly at Wilhelm's figure. Roar. At a speed visible to the naked eye, it turned into a huge thunder beast, where it roared upwards, extremely ferocious. Like a ferocious beast coming out of its cage, it rushed out. Culled Wilhelm ahead. Tempest kick Arashi bird. Wilhelm didn't dodge or evade. His right leg kicked out fiercely like a knife and axe. Hoo! The huge vacuum slash suddenly tore through the atmosphere. It turned into a huge flying bird, flapped its wings and rushed towards the swooping thunder beast. Boom! The loud noise shook the sky. Intense light and ons continued to spread. The astonishing airwaves crushed the towering giant trees all around a little bit tottering. The rocks and vegetation splashed around, making people unable to open their eyes. God's judgment. Sigh, chirp. Almost instantly. Accompanied by strong electric light, the entire sky is illuminated. It looked so pale that it was impossible to look directly at it. Hoo! A huge thunder pillar with a diameter of no less than 10 meters fell from the sky. He blasted Wilhelm hard, not giving him any chance to breathe. It was like God's punishment, shocking and numb. Brush. However, what, in Smoothie's discolored eyes? Wilhelm's figure was like electricity, his whole body turned into an afterimage, and disappeared in place in an instant. In the blink of an eye, it suddenly flew in front of her. Call. Wrapped around Armament Hockey's right leg, raised high, from top to bottom. Like the edge of a knife, it is pressed down. Kang. Sparks sputtered. The extremely sharp long sword lay there. He narrowly blocked this terrible blow, but the huge and incomparable power directly pressed Smoothie's whole face to change slightly. In the next instant, the whole person blasted to the ground like lightning. Hey! For a moment, Smoothie, who fell straight down from the sky like a cannonball, stared blankly. Before it really landed, it directly turned into lightning. Boom. The ground cracked and smoke and dust flew. In the intertwining of lightning and light, Smoothie's figure once again condensed out. Although he was a little embarrassed, he didn't suffer any injuries. At the critical moment, he used elementalization to remove the terrible strength. Sigh, chirp. Her eyes were awe-inspiring. Staring firmly in midair, he stomped easily on the atmospheric Wilhelm. The beautiful pretty face is full of solemnity, and she is ready to go all out. The tall figure began to intertwine with even more astonishing and blazing electric lights, like a sacred and inviolable Valkyrie, which made people feel daunting. Not long after she acquired the ability of Logia Thunderfruit. At present, it can only exert a maximum voltage of 100 million volts, which is her limit. Let's call it a day. Looking at Wei Wei, who was panting slightly, it was obvious that the continuous high-intensity battle was not very easy for Smoothie. Wilhelm stepped on the air, and his figure directly slid to the ground. He didn't intend to continue to attack, and said with a light smile, "This fruit is really suitable for you, Sister Smoothie. In less than 3 days, you can display such combat power." Sigh. The intense electric light gradually dissipated. Complimented by this Wilhelm brother. Standing with a sword in his hand, Smoothie said happily, "Thanks to your guidance, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to develop those moves so easily. I deeply realized the power of Thunderfruit." A Smoothie who is extremely satisfied with the power of the devil fruit that Wilhelm found for himself. The eyes looking at this younger brother are full of splendor, with strange emotions that cannot be explained clearly. It's all thanks to Wilhelm that she has improved so much. It's mainly because Sister Smoothie, your talent is far more outstanding than expected. Wilhelm laughed and admired, even with his guidance. But Smoothie can master Thunderfruit's ability so quickly, and it is not easy to use it to this extent. That talent is indeed quite impressive, no worse than that Katakuri big brother. With his supervision and guidance, I believe that Smoothie's strength in the future will never be worse. Stayed in Sky Island for a while, it's time to leave. Master Wilhelm. Master Smoothie, Lord Strong, Lord Sneyman. Thank God. You finally came back safely. For so many days, if it weren't for the life card showing that you were all right, we couldn't help but worry. Unbelievable, does the legendary Golden Land really exist? The harvest is full, and I brought back such a big golden clock. Gaia Island. Waiting for Wilhelm and the Smoothie sisters to return from Sky Island. Because of Wilhelm's orders, they have been staying on Gaia Island to stand by. They have already been a little idle and flustered. The pirates of the Big Mom pirate group couldn't help being overjoyed. In particular, the ability to transfer fruit is used by Wilhelm. The huge golden clock tower brought down from Sky Island is worthy of being placed on the deck of a pirate warship. It directly blinded the eyes of these pirates. They were shocked, and some couldn't believe it. "Little ones, let's go." The high-spirited Smoothie ordered loudly while holding his saber. "Ooh, yes, Mr. Smoothie." A large number of pirates and homies shouted excitedly. When the huge golden bell resounded through the sky. The melodious sound of the bell made the countless pirates and residents on Gaia Island feel a little indescribably shocked. The pirate ship left slowly. "Wilhelm, are you so relieved of those guys?" Smoothie, who sat there with his long legs lightly crossed, looked at Wilhelm's handsome face with his hands in his hands, and asked casually. "That's a huge amount of treasure, don't you really want to take it away?" Strom also asked a little uneasy. "With so much treasure, our ship may be overloaded, and nothing can be done at that time." Wilhelm shrugged. "I don't intend to go back to the Toto landwaters so soon. Don't worry, before leaving, I deliberately subdued the Sandia family, and put them on top to monitor Gonfall and the others. After all, Sky Island at an altitude of 10,000 meters is not something that anyone can go up directly if they want to. Even if some pirates are lucky enough to stumble into Sky Island by mistake, the flag of the Big Mom pirate group is enough to deter those guys who are about to move. Not to mention, the combat effectiveness of the Shandia clan and the God's Guard is still passable. Compared with the pirates who are generally not too strong in the first half of the Grand Line, it is enough." "Makes sense," Sneyman said with a smile. "I have fulfilled the promise of inheritance from generation to generation more than 300 years ago, and returned to my former homeland. Those guys from the Sandia clan regard you as their benefactor." She had seen it with her own eyes. After Wilhelm subdued the Sandia family and allowed them to return to their hometown of the Island of Gods, Apeado, and personally rang the golden bell, fulfilling the oath made by their ancestors, how excited and fanatical they were. Those Sandia natives are extremely grateful to Wilhelm, the benefactor. Even the Shandia patriarch did not hesitate to lead the tribe and made a blood oath of loyalty to Wilhelm from generation to generation. Compared with being able to return to their homeland, those treasures of the Shandia family don't pay much attention at all. For 300 or 400 years, the endless wars and the hatred accumulated from generation to generation created an indelible gap between Sandia and the people of Angel Island. Even if Gonfall is unwilling to settle down and wants to win over the natives of Sky Island who are full of hatred for them, it is not so easy for the Sandia clan to coexist peacefully under Wilhelm's request. Before I left, I deliberately left the 6 forms and Hockey's training methods. With the bravery and tenacious will of the Sandia clan, there may be 1 or 2 guys who are worthy of attention and can be used in the future. Wilhelm stretched. With big hands, he stroked Fingal's snow-white and soft hair. Habitually leaning against the rose placed there by Smoothie, she lay there with her eyes closed and meditated. Subdue the Shandia clan. This is just an idle move. Indeed, that kid named Vipa is very good, Sneyman said. In the Sandia family, there is a little ghost named Weepa, who is said to be a descendant of the great warrior, Karl Gala. She admired that kind of determination and persistence, eyes that were completely out of line with her age. As that kid? It's really impressive. A smiling Smoothie held Wilhelm's unbelievably handsome face that he would never tire of seeing. The right hand straightened out the long silver-white hair for the other party very seriously, and said indifferently, he is still too young, even if he grows up, it will take 10 years or even longer. Don't be impatient, be patient, Sister Smoothie. In the final analysis, even if the Big Mom pirates want to dominate the sea, it is not something that can be done in a short time. Smelling the pleasant and unusually familiar aroma, Wilhelm said slowly. The current Big Mom pirate group even has Charlotte Linlin, the world's most ferocious female pirate, sitting in command. But it can only occupy the waters of Toto Land and be the king. Not to mention naval headquarters under the world government. Even in New World, the Whitebeard pirate group, which occupies a large amount of territory, failed to cross the mountain. He is not in a hurry, and has enough patience to slowly plan and accumulate strength. 2. Woos. Smoothie, who was about to say something, paused. His complexion changed slightly. What's wrong? Wilhelm of Observation Hockey often plays observation hockey outside to exercise and improve himself. Noticing Smoothie's strangeness for the first time, he opened his eyes involuntarily. He knew that after Smoothie became a Logia Thunderfruit-capable user. Observation Hockey, who is not weak in itself, combined with the amazing radio waves, has been able to achieve the same super wide-range monitoring ability as Enel, who was solved by him. Different from Sky Island, which is exactly Observation Hockey's heart outline, Smoothie's ability was named Heart Network by him. Obviously, something was monitored. Wilhelm, I'm in trouble. Smoothie's face became serious, and he said in a deep voice, it is rumored that Vice Admiral Akainu, the powerful faction of naval headquarters who is already Admiral's candidate, is riding his ship and rushing towards Gaia Island, 10 nautical miles away. Oh? Wilhelm stood up. He chuckled softly. Is this to avenge my comrades in arms? Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral Akainu Sakazuki, but Grand Line is famous for its iron-blooded and ruthless, powerful Vice Admiral. He is also the leader of the new generation of Hawks in Marine, who pursues absolute justice. The famous Hawks Vice Admiral, such as Ghost Spider and Doberman, seemed to be his comrades in arms at the Marine Academy when he was young. And compared to Sengoku, the current Hawk leader in Marine, Admiral Buddha, his thinking is more extreme and radical. Never allow a trace of evil, and never show mercy to pirates. Exactly the same as the Ghost Spider, he will do whatever it takes to achieve his goals when performing tasks. Even when facing unarmed civilians or even Marine personnel, he will not hesitate to order shelling. 3 years ago, West Blue's famous archaeological institution Ohara. Those archaeologists were found out after secretly researching and interpreting the historical texts. Directly authorized by the world government, Admiral of Headquarters Buddha Sengoku personally issued a buster call, dispatched 5 Marine Vice Admirals, assembled 10 large battleships to form a fleet, launched a merciless bombardment of Ohara, and burned the entire island to the ground. All traces are completely erased from the territory of the world. And this Akainu, Vice Admiral, was among the 5 Marine Vice Admirals who performed buster call. In order to prevent some scholars from sneaking in and escaping, they did not hesitate to order to open fire and sink the refuge ship with a large number of Ohara people. You know, it's not just those people above. There must also be Marine soldiers and world government personnel who are responsible for organizing the boarding of Ohara residents to take refuge, maintaining discipline and strictly checking whether there are scholars mixed in. The future Marine Admiral, that cold-blooded heart, can be seen a Madara. Admiral's candidate is exactly what I want. Wilhelm murmured to himself, fighting spirit in his eyes. The other party's so-called absolute justice, is it real justice, hypocrisy or something? None of this has anything to do with him. Because, Wilhelm, with countless blood on his hands, never felt how righteous he was. I have no right to testify or question anything. He just wanted to take this opportunity to verify it. How big is the gap between the current self and Akainu, the powerful vice admiral who already has the qualification for admiral candidate? Clatter. On the choppy sea, a large warship flying the flags of world government and marine is slowly approaching Gaia Island. Above, a number of marine elites are busy, performing their duties. On the bow, a middle-aged man with a resolute face, wearing a white suit, a marine cloak of justice, and a marine hat with a seagull logo, stood there with his chest folded. He had no expression on his face, and his eyes were quietly looking at the sea in front of him. Thoughts are flying. As the leader of the new generation of hawks in marine, the relationship between Akainu and the ghost spider, Doberman and the other hawkish generals is naturally not bad. All three are the first phase of the elite training camp opened after the former admiral of headquarters Black Arm Zephyr retired to the second line and began to transfer to the Marine Academy as the chief instructor to devote himself to cultivating newcomers. The three have similar ideas of justice, like-minded, and have a deep comrade-in-arms friendship. They are all well-known radicals among the hawks. Sakazuki has always felt that although Sengoku, the admiral of headquarters, is a hawk leader, his political views and behavior style are too naive and idealistic. Has always longed for a higher position, determined to eliminate pirates and implement absolute justice. And the new generation of hawkish generals such as Ghost Spider and Doberman have all been called monsters by other Marines because of their powerful abilities and extraordinary strength since joining the Marine. Follow the lead. But Sakazuki never expected that the Ghost Spider of Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral would be killed by a fledgling kid. Sakazuki Vice Admiral. Looking at the island that was already in the distance or the black spot, that was getting bigger and bigger, Sakazuki's adjutant saluted and said, Gaia Island is ahead. We have received information that the pirate ship under the Big Mom pirate group has been stranded near the port of Gaia Island, and there is no sign of leaving these days. Big Mom pirates, Charlotte Wilhelm, the 22nd son of the Charlotte family. In my hand, I don't know when there was an extra reward list. Looking at the overly young, gorgeously dressed silver-white figure above, Sakazuki snorted coldly. The rumored natural monster who perfectly inherited Charlotte Linlin's talent, trembling nobleman, HMPH. As the heir of that woman, his own bloodline is already unforgivable, and he actually committed such an unforgivable crime. Let me end his crime with my own hands. Akainu's eyes were cold and full of murderous intent. Wearing a black glove, the right hand holding the bounty list instantly turned red with billowing smoke. In a blink of an eye, the reward list in Sakazuki's hand was reduced to ashes. Sakazuki Vice Admiral, according to the information sent back to the headquarters before the fleet led by the Ghost Spider Vice Admiral lost contact, disappeared on the sea, and broke into their fleet in an instant, very strange. Akainu's adjutant had a serious face, and reminded in a deep voice. The intelligence department of Naval Headquarters suspects that there may be a special demon fruit power among them, and it may even be the ability of the trembling nobleman. He said worriedly, it may not be easy to completely wipe them out. Once they realize that you are coming in person, they know they are invincible, or they are in danger, they may use that method to escape directly. We must be fully prepared to prevent these pirates from escaping. Akainu's face was solemn, and he frowned. It's not like he hasn't read the detailed battle report in the Walla Karl Sea area before setting off. But before you figure out the opponent's specific capabilities and come up with a countermeasure that can effectively crack it. This is indeed a big problem. Sakazuki Vice Admiral, there is movement in the sky. At this time, above the mast, the marine personnel on the observation deck who are in charge of monitoring the sea surface shouted, a huge eagle, it is flying towards us. There is a figure on it. Okay. Sakazuki and others couldn't help being a little surprised. But soon, they saw the sky above the sea. A gigantic vulture flapped its wings from the direction of Gaia Island. Above, a vague figure can be vaguely seen. That is. He took out the binoculars and observed the huge eagle vulture approaching at an astonishing speed, as well as the figure above. Sakazuki's adjutant suddenly yelled, it's the one who killed the Ghost Spider Vice Admiral, that trembling nobleman. Everyone is alert. Get ready for battle, beep beep. The sharp battle siren sounded. A number of marine personnel soon began to line up on the battleship. In addition, there are also logistical personnel who constantly move ammunition from the cabin for the first time. It's just in time. Akainu's expression was grim, and he spoke coldly. His eyes were fixed on the huge eagle vulture that was flapping its wings in the sky ahead, and was getting closer and closer. Okay. Suddenly, his hair stood up inexplicably. The powerful observation hockey was released immediately. The guard was fully maintained, but nothing abnormal was found at all. What's wrong? Sakazuki Vice Admiral. Seeing this, the adjutant next to him quickly became vigilant. Subconsciously looked around nervously, but found nothing. Nothing. Sakazuki frowned, his eyes were a little surprised. Is that sudden, inexplicable palpitation before really an illusion? Woo-hoo-hoo. In the sky ahead, a strong wind blows. Wilhelm's majestic figure stood there proudly. The feet seem to have taken root, and there is no tendency to fall down at all. Stepping firmly on the back of Fingali's wide snow-white bird, which has transformed into a vulture form and is galloping. Silver hair fluttering, robes fluttering. Admiral's candidate is indeed terrifyingly strong. Looking at the warship in front of him, Sakazuki, who was staring and locked by his eyes, but suddenly moved out, Wilhelm, who had tried to activate the fruit transfer ability before, exclaimed, "This kind of guy is really as strong as a monster. No matter how negligent I am, with my current strength, I still can't directly ignore the opponent's haki and throw such a strong person into the sea. I have to admit that for a strong man like Sakazuki, haki's cultivation is indeed far stronger than him. It's not surprising that the opponent can defend against the unstoppable ability of transferring fruit, it's completely in his expectation. Because, he had experimented with Charlotte Linlin. At that time, the massive amount of haki hidden in the body is similar to a special mechanism of self-protection. The early warning of the crisis has been fully integrated into the instinct, and it will instinctively resist the ability to transfer the fruit. However, the strength and effect of the fruit ability will also change accordingly with the improvement of the master's strength, and even the continuous in-depth development of the fruit ability. If Wilhelm's own strength is equal to or better than Sakazuki's, and even the fruit ability is developed to a higher level of awakening stage. As long as he is negligent, or if haki is not as strong as himself, he will be unable to resist the ability to transfer the bug of the fruit, and he will be directly thrown into the sea by him. This is not a guess, but a conclusion drawn after continuous exploration and experimentation. Over the years, Wilhelm has used those members of the Charlotte family as experiments, and verified them one by one. Swaggering and taking the initiative to come here, do you want to show off your power? It's really arrogant. He looked at the hawk that was flying towards him, but at least hundreds of meters away. In Akainu's eyes full of murderous intent, scorching red flashed across. Gurgling. Smoke began to rise all over his body, and the surrounding temperature continued to rise. His adjutant's expression changed, and he quickly stepped aside. In the blink of an eye, Sakazuki's arms were red. Suddenly billowing magma has emerged, billowing black smoke. Incredibly hot. You brat of the Charlotte family, let me send you down directly, and apologize to the ghost spider. Massive amounts of magma gushed out unceasingly. Sakazuki's fists, which had completely turned into magma, were full of veins, accumulating strength there. Locked on the huge eagle that was already approaching the warship, carrying a terrifying heatwave, blasted out fiercely, meteor volcano. Call. Massive amounts of magma gushed out unceasingly. The fists turned into afterimages, rubbing against the atmosphere. Hey, hey, hey. One after another, the magma bombs were extremely red, simulating a volcanic eruption, carrying terrible impact, and kept flying out of his waving fists. In a blink of an eye, densely packed volcanic bombs, larger than a normal human head, were in the shape of fist prints, violently rubbing against the atmosphere, and bombarded out one after another. At an astonishing speed, it directly blasted towards the flying Fingri and Wilhelm on his back in the high sky in front of him. The heat wave is rolling in. Who? Who? The sound of piercing and howling continued. The density is exaggerated, the volcanic bombs are constantly hitting, and the terrible heat wave is blowing. Hey! Fingri yelled in horror as his hairs puffed up. But Akainu, the future Marine Admiral, obviously did not launch the offensive blindly, wasting energy in vain. His attacks can be said to be overwhelming, as if he will not stop until they are burned to ashes. It was too late to escape. Don't panic. Looking at the dense rain, in the shape of black and red fist marks, the volcanic bombs that Fingli could not avoid. Wilhelm above looked relaxed and smiled lightly. I can't afford such a meeting ceremony. In a split second, his eyes froze. A dazzling blue light flashed across. Brush. Without warning, a huge warship suddenly lay ahead. Standing firmly in front, facing the exaggerated volcanic bombs that hit continuously one after another. What? Sudden upheaval. Sakazuki's complexion changed drastically, and he was a little caught off guard. But it was obviously too late to stop it. Boom. For a moment, a large number of extremely crimson, bubbling hot volcanic bombs bombarded the warship with terrifying impact. The successive impacts directly caused the battleship to disintegrate and split into pieces. Woo-hoo-hoo. Boom. Boom. The flames were soaring into the sky, and thick smoke billowed. Bursts of terrifying heat waves spread in all directions. On the warship, A large amount of ammunition reserves were ignited, followed by explosions and loud noises. Ah! Countless Marines screamed and were burned to ashes in an instant. He didn't react at all, and didn't understand why the volcanic bomb that Akainu Vice Admiral blasted at the enemy suddenly hit the warship where he and others were. The torn warships and countless wreckages just fell straight into the sea. Boom. Clatter. Gee, the huge eagle and vulture fluttered its wings and flew high. Looking at the flames on the sea below, the sinking warship could not stop smoking. Fingley let out a cry of joy like a survivor. Crack, crack. Braving hot magma all over his body, Akainu's face was livid as he stepped on the atmosphere and stayed in the air. Looking murderously at the huge eagle in the sky ahead, or Wilhelm himself on Fingley's back, he was furious. Damn it, Charlotte's brat. He never thought of it. The opponent's ability is so strange. At that moment before, there was no reaction at all. The entire warship under his feet was instantly transferred to his magma attack range by the opponent. Caught him off guard, there was no time to stop him. Lousy can't spare you. Shaved moonwalk, he stomped on his feet. Disappeared in place in an instant. Murderous, constantly stepping on the atmosphere. Exercising the combination of moonwalk and shave, he rushed towards him at an astonishing speed. Your mission is complete, you don't need to stay here. Wilhelm looked at Akainu who was rushing towards him with a murderous look, his eyes were full of fighting spirit like never before. Not only did he have no intention of retreating, but he jumped off Fingerly's back like lightning and rushed towards him. Gee, after receiving the master's order, Fingali flapped his wings. He turned around and flew into the sky, bastard brat. In a blink of an eye, Akainu had rushed in front of Wilhelm. The huge magma fist, extremely red, entangled armament hockey and slammed fiercely. Die to Lousy, Kanglangling, boom. The 7-star sword was unsheathed in an instant. Wrapped around armament hockey, blocking the incoming hot fist. A large amount of magma is constantly gushing and splashing. Bubbling on the surface of the sea, a lot of water vapor evaporated. Woohoo, the collision of powerful forces caused an astonishing heat wave. People can't open their eyes, can't look straight. Sigh, chirp, boom, kang. For a moment, two figures, one big and one small, fought fiercely there. Intertwined with strands of electric arcs, the fiercely shining dark green sword edge constantly clashed and collided with the hot red fist marks. Moreover, the two were often separated at every touch. Wilhelm did not have too many stalemates and confrontations with Akainu, the admiral substitute. Because several times, a large amount of magma spewed straight towards Wilhelm like a volcanic eruption without warning at the moment when the sword edge and the fist print came into contact, carrying terrifying high temperature and impact force. It's extremely dangerous and hard to guard against. Scalp tingling. Boom. The violent power collided again. This power is worthy of being Marine's future admiral. Wilhelm's complexion changed slightly, and he felt numbness in his arms, and the edge of the 7-star sword trembled a little, and he almost fell out of his hand. The whole person was sent flying backwards by Sakazuki's extremely powerful magma fist, which carried a high-level armament hockey. Crack, crack. Stepping on the atmosphere, Akainu galloped like a beast. The black-red lava fist print was accumulating strength there, billowing thick smoke. It's unbearably cold. Looking at the menacing Akainu in front of him, Wilhelm, who was flying upside down, did not change his expression, trying to stabilize his figure at the moment. Without hesitation, the 5 fingers of his left hand formed into claws, tearing apart the atmosphere fiercely. Flying blade bloodclaw. Shish. There was a loud roar through the air. Several extremely sharp blood-colored claw blades are intertwined with armament hockey, which is invisible to the naked eye, flowing like a sakura flower, and strikes out like lightning. Braving the billowing magma, the volume doubled, and the right arm that was going to give the opponent a fatal blow was suddenly raised, wrapped around armament hockey, and acted as a shield to block directly in front of him. Boom. The heat wave was rolling, and a large amount of magma was splashed. With the blessing of that rather tyrannical armament hockey, those bloody claw blades that were so insanely sharp, enough to cut through gold and jade, did not cause any damage to Akainu Vice Admiral, one of the candidates for the Admiral of Headquarters. Crack, crack. At the same time, just for an instant, Wilhelm had already slammed into the atmosphere directly, and stabilized his figure with moonwalk. Both of them and Sakazuki landed on the wreckage of the burning battleship on the sea. There they were facing each other with swords drawn. Hateful. Sakazuki Vice Admiral. That damn bastard, did he do it? It actually made the warship instantly move to the attack range of Sakazuki Vice Admiral. Some marine survivors who fell into the water were struggling and swimming in the sea. I didn't dare to climb the warship that was torn apart, sinking and burning with fire. One after another began to look for the floating objects scattered on the sea to save themselves. Tisk tisk, the ability of Logia lava fruit is really eye-opening. Silver hair fluttering, robes fluttering. Standing on the side of the overturned ship, ignoring the fire that was about to spread. Charlotte Wilhelm stared at the extremely angry Akainu, with a playful smile on his face. The magnificent Marine Admiral candidate, Akainu Vice Admiral with great military exploits. When did he betray Marine and attack his own subordinates, destroying the entire warship? Gone. But in his heart, he was not so relaxed, a little awe-inspiring. The opponent's armament hockey was far more amazing than he had imagined. And at the age of 36, Akainu was in his golden age. Even with his own strength alone, he was not inferior to him, who had a natural strength of copper and iron, and even surpassed him. That indestructible magma fist, which was as indestructible as steel, was unbelievably hard. In the constant collisions just now, the exaggerated force often shook his wrist, holding the sword edge a little numb. At only 15 years old, even though he was called a natural monster by the members of the Charlotte family, he was born with extremely high talents and an extremely powerful physique, but he was still young. Obviously, it is impossible to directly crush Akainu, who has the Admiral candidate qualification and almost represents the highest combat power of the naval headquarters, and is also called a monster by countless Marines in terms of strength. But this monster is not that monster, the two are different and should not be confused. He is a natural monster. It means that you are born with a strong physique, and your performance in all aspects is subversive and different from ordinary people. It can only be said that the starting point is far better than ordinary people, with great innate advantages, huge potential, and limitless future. But if you want to become a real strong person, you still need time to sharpen and grow. And someone with a big name like Akainu Sakazuki. From his youth to the present, he has already experienced countless times of life and death struggles and tempers that ordinary people can't imagine, and then he gradually possessed overwhelming and terrifying power. Compared with the previous Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral Ghost Spider, there is a huge difference in strength between the two, and they are not in the same dimension at all. It scares countless pirates, so it is called a monster by the world. Sharp-toothed brat. The flames soared into the sky, and the sea was billowing with smoke. Stepping on the dilapidated, more and more tilted, sinking bow. His eyes were extremely indifferent, looking directly at the young man who was too young in front of him. Akainu had endless murderous intent. Today, in the name of justice, I will let you be buried with the souls of those Marines who died. The voice did not fall. He stomped on his feet and rushed out like lightning. Almost instantly, he rushed in front of Wilhelm. Repent in hell, dark hound. A large amount of magma gushed out. The fist that was completely turned into lava was blasted out in an instant. In an instant, simulating the eruption of a submarine volcano, it suddenly exploded and elongated, and rushed out with even more astonishing power. Carrying a terrible heat wave, it slammed into Wilhelm's head. Unstoppable, ruthless. It makes people break out in a cold sweat. Undeniable. Logia lava fruit. Let this future Marine Admiral possess extremely terrifying attack power. Relying on the terrifying high temperature of the magma, it is enough to corrode, burn, melt, and incinerate all targets, destroying them in a destructive manner. Even if an ordinary strong person is just rubbed by magma, it may cause serious burns. Very dangerous. Even Wilhelm, who was born with brass and iron bones. It is also difficult to guarantee whether Akainu's magma entwined with high-level armament hockey will cause terrible damage to his incomparably tough and invulnerable body, and whether it will leave scars. But he will not be so stupid as to use his own body to verify. Brush. Very weird. Wilhelm's figure instantly disappeared in front of Akainu. Suddenly appeared behind him, with the warning of observation hockey. His hair stood on end, and Akainu's pupils shrank suddenly, caught off guard. In a blink of an eye, he hastily turned around and returned to defense. Hey. Sure enough. In an instant, hockey was entangled, intertwined with electric light, and the dark green sword edge was extremely bewitching. The lightning-like stab came from an extremely tricky angle. It's chilling. Kang. The sound of gold and iron clashing echoed. Countless magma liquid splashed frantically. The heat waves scorched the atmosphere, making it unbearably hot. The lava-formed arms are wrapped around armament hockey, crossed in front of him. He narrowly blocked the attack from behind, which was hard to guard against. Teleportation. Is this your ability? Looking directly at Wilhelm in front of him, Sakazuki looked solemn. With his eyesight, he could naturally judge that it wasn't pure speed, but an even more exaggerated teleportation. Otherwise, his powerful observation hockey couldn't even predict the opponent's trajectory at all. Hard awe-inspiring, gave birth to vigilance. Kanglangling, in an instant, a cold light flashed. The gorgeous natural teeth come out of the sheath in an instant. Wilhelm's left hand, which was previously free, directly swung his extremely sharp natural teeth. He slashed fiercely at Akainu, whose expression changed. Kang. Clang. Sigh. Chirp. Woo-oh. Sparks splash. Lightning flashes. Two astonishingly imposing figures kept clashing and colliding, extremely ferocious. The sea is rough, the wind is blowing, and the ripples are constant. On the surface of the sea, huge waves were set off, and the waves rolled. The flames soared into the sky, and the dilapidated warship also swayed violently with the big waves, and continued to accelerate and sink. Strictly speaking, Wilhelm didn't know anything about double-bladed swordsmanship. But he is endowed with extraordinary talent and extremely high savvy, which is different from ordinary people, and he can even use two things at once. The left and right hands control the 7-star and natural teeth respectively, each displaying their own one-sword swordsmanship that has gone through years of fighting and tempering, which can be said to have entered the room with a high degree of proficiency. Let them work together perfectly, like nature itself. For ordinary swordsmen, the extremely difficult dual-blade swordsmanship was effortless for him. It's almost as easy as you want, without the slightest hindrance. Some people have wasted their lives and can't practice the double knife style. Just like that, he used his arms and fingers, and directly and easily displayed it. This is the talent gap. Kang. In the fire that soared into the sky. The hot magma fist blasted out, accompanied by bursts of hot breath. Makes the scalp tingle. Another pushback against Wilhelm's attack. Not only has a strange ability, but also a swordsman of the Grandmaster dual sword style. Akainu has a cold face and cold eyes. Charlotte Wilhelm's unique and self-contained dual knife swordsmanship really made him a little scared. With the perfect coordination of the two famous swords, 7-star sword and Tianxinga, the power of swordsmanship is doubled. 1 + 1 is far greater than 2. Make people hard to guard against. But more so, the murderous intent in Sakazuki's heart became more intense. The more impressive Wilhelm's performance, the greater the threat to Marine's future. The member of the Charlotte family, rumored to have perfectly inherited Charlotte Linlin's monstrous talent, must not be allowed to return alive. Otherwise, sooner or later, she will grow into a second Charlotte Linlin. When the time comes, the Big Mom pirate's already invincible arrogance will become even more arrogant. It is bound to be more difficult to contain. Shave. The next moment, he stomped on his feet. The body shape directly turned into an afterimage, too fast for the naked eye to see clearly. Relying on observation Hockey's prediction, he slammed towards his rear without hesitation. Wilhelm, who appeared there in an instant, disappeared like lightning again. The hot magma distorted the atmosphere. Boom. A large amount of magma splashed out, and thick smoke billowed. The thick cabin was easily burned through and destroyed like fragile tofu. People can't help but break out in a cold sweat. Akainu is one of the few powerful vice admirals in naval headquarters. He has been fighting on the front line all year round, and it can be said that he has experienced many battles. How rich is the combat experience? It seems to be at a disadvantage, but in fact it is calm and unhurried. While blocking the lightning-fast attacks from all directions, he was also waiting for the opportunity to find the opponent's flaws. The exaggerated strength, combined with the high-level armament Hockey, made the indestructible and extremely hot magma fist, often shaking Wilhelm's arms numb, and violently retreated. As the time goes, in that dangerous and unpredictable confrontation and collision, even the twin swords with Hockey entwined and intertwined with electric light in his hands couldn't completely insulate the terrifying high temperature of the Logia lava fruit ability, and began to become scorching hot. Only a natural monster like Wilhelm can directly ignore the astonishing temperature of the sword hilt, which is completely enough to roast raw meat. If it were someone else, it might be difficult to even hold the hilt of the sword in this situation. Woo-hoo-hoo. Crackling. The wind gusts. Flames blazing, smoke filled the battlefield. Wilhelm's figure is as elusive as a ghost, constantly flickering there. The blazing and dazzling electric lights interweave, jump, and shine from time to time, making it impossible to look directly at. Chi-chi, one terrifying slash after another. It is densely packed, coming from all directions. In a blink of an eye, they intertwined into a net, enveloping Sakazuki. The flames were blazing, and the afterimage of Wilhelm was everywhere on the wreckage of the warship that was about to sink, making people dazzled. As if possessing countless clones at the same time, holding the natural tooth and the 7-star sword, he instantly swung amazing slashes from every corner, launching a terrifying lure to Akainu. The horror of Paramecia transferring fruit are fully displayed at this moment. You brat, don't be so arrogant. The aggrieved Akainu roared angrily, great eruption. The blue veins on his right arm popped out, and a large amount of magma kept gushing out. An exaggeratedly large magma giant fist carries terrifyingly high temperatures, and is wrapped around the high-level armament hockey, which is invisible to the naked eye. He slammed fiercely at the dense sword net that covered the sky and covered the earth. Boom. Woo-hoo-hoo. The loud noise shook the sky, and the heat wave was rolling. Following the overwhelming slashing group, the intertwined net was violently torn apart and destroyed by that unstoppable blow. The exaggeratedly large magma giant fist also disintegrated immediately. Shish. Boom. Boom. Large and small, countless volcanic bombs emerged. Accompanied by the sharp and ear-piercing sound of piercing through the air, they galloped there, rushing wildly. Countless magma liquid splashed everywhere. It's like the end is coming. Clatter. Crash. The entire sea was choppy and violently rolling. Wave after wave surged towards all directions. At this moment, it was already torn apart, and the flaming warship completely disintegrated, sank, and was even further destroyed by the terrible volcanic bomb, and burned to the ground. There is no place to stand on the entire sea. There are only scattered warship wrecks floating around. ZZ. Ah. On the surface of the sea, the fog is transpiring. The terrible high temperature carried by a large amount of magma directly caused the large seawater to start bubbling uncontrollably. Those marine survivors who hadn't had time to leave this battlefield in the future were scalded by the boiling seawater and let out screams. Crack, crack. The waves rolled, and the misty sea surface. With Moonwalk, step on the atmosphere and stay in the air. Damn it, it's unrestricted. Can you teleport continuously? It's such a difficult ability. Sakazuki looked gloomy, not caring about the life and death of those subordinates. Observation Hockey was vigilant all the way, and didn't dare to be careless. A short fight. He has roughly figured out the opponent's ability. Not surprisingly, it should be able to allow itself or any target to teleport instantly. The speed is even faster than Pelusalino's sparkling fruit, making it hard to guard against, very difficult and weird. Especially, in this boundless sea. As the warship sank completely, there was no place to stand. For Akainu, who is a Logia lava fruit capable user, this is undoubtedly a bit restrictive. Even if he has mastered Moonwalk, he can stay in the air for a short period of time without worrying about falling into the sea, but there is still a difference between him and the land, which prevents him from fully exerting his power. But for Wilhelm, who has the ability to transfer fruits, has also mastered Moonwalk, and is good at swordsmanship, he is like a fish in water, without any hindrance at all. It can be said that it is inborn and occupies a geographical advantage. One ebbs in another. Faced with the unpredictable fruit transfer ability. Even if Akainu, the admiral candidate, obviously has overwhelming strength, whether it is Haki or Taishu, he is far superior to the opponent, and he cannot directly gain the upper hand. Depressed endlessly. Call, without warning. With the prediction of observation Haki, Sakazuki threw his fist without any hesitation. Carrying a billowing heat wave, it hit the top of his head fiercely. I saw Wilhelm's figure suddenly appearing in the sky, but before the hot magma fist struck, he disappeared there like lightning. The next moment, a silver-white figure appeared directly behind Sakazuki. Double sword-style extreme tiger hunting. Like an extremely ferocious wild beast escaped from the cage. The Tienshinga and the seven-star sword, two extremely sharp and famous swords, intertwined with strands of astonishing electric light, and carrying the fairly strong armament Haki, suddenly slashed out with overwhelming force. Sakazuki, who had just swung his fist vigorously into the air, had no time to rein in his expression. His face changed. The pupils dilated. Kang, shish. The sound of gold and iron clashing reverberated. A blood flower, mixed with extremely red magma liquid, flew up. I saw two black blades intertwined with electric light and shining with cold light, tearing apart Akainu's hastily condensed armament Haki defense, which was like invisible steel armor. Almost at the moment when the blade had just slashed at his body, it seemed as if he had been accumulating his strength for a long time and was ready. Dark Hound. Like a volcanic eruption, carrying a terrifying impact force, entwined with the high-level armament Haki's magma fist, it came out with lightning speed. He slammed fiercely close at hand, his complexion changed drastically immediately, his hair stood on end, his feet stomped violently and retreated violently, Wilhelm who directly activated the fruit transfer ability without hesitation. All of this is in the blink of an eye, like the wind is flying fast. It's so fast that people can't react at all. Boom. Boom. Clatter. The wind was raging, and the airwaves were rolling. On the sea, the waves are raging and boiling. In midair, two figures kept stepping on the atmosphere, keeping themselves stuck in the air, instead of directly falling into the sea. Ahem, it's really not easy to be a candidate for the Admiral of Headquarters. Haki is unbelievably strong, and the gap is really big. With long silver hair fluttering around, Wilhelm was holding the 7-star sword in natural teeth, and his body was intertwined with electric light, coughing up blood. And he is really a lunatic who actually wants to trade injuries for his life. He is indeed the most radical Marine. The leader of the new generation of Hawks. If someone else faced the terrible blow of a lava fruit ability user that can burn through everything, I am afraid that he would definitely die. Ignoring bloodline at the corner of his mouth, he stared at the tall and smoky figure in front of him with awe-inspiring eyes. The gorgeous costume was a bit ragged, tattered, and full of burn marks. Abdomen, the proportion of which is outrageously perfect, the 8-pack abs with sharp edges and corners. But that's not the compelling focus. It's the skin that can't leave a single scar on it, whether it's a gun or a sword, and it's tougher than a steel balloon. At this moment, there was a huge fist mark on it, which looked extremely red. It was scalded by lava-carrying Haki. This is unbelievable. Born with copper skin and iron bones, he is invulnerable to swords and guns. It was the first time he suffered such an injury. Thanks to the innate monster talent that was perfectly inherited from Charlotte Linlin, his skin, like Charlotte Linlin's, was as tough as steel, and it was not directly burned by the magma, but it was slightly burnt. The appearance of the injury is second. With his monster-like physique, even if he doesn't use his natural teeth's paramecia healing fruit ability to heal himself, if he just recuperates for 2 or 3 days, most likely there won't be any scars left. But the powerful advanced armament Haki of Sakazuki, Admiral's candidate, is not a decoration. Not hesitating to lure him into the trap, wanting to exchange injuries for his life, the blow he had stored up for a long time made his internal organs twitch violently, as if he didn't belong to him anymore. In contrast, he put all his strength into Akainu's blow. It could only tear apart the hastily condensed, indestructible armament Haki defense like an invisible armor, causing some minor injuries to the opponent. Even if Akainu intentionally showed his flaws, the difference in Haki cultivation between the two is too great. No matter in terms of quantity or strength, it seems that they are not at the same level. Gurgle. You really can't be careless at all, you kid from the Charlotte family. Fiery magma surged all over his body. He glanced at his bleeding right shoulder indifferently. The scorched black and bloody wound seemed exaggerated and shocking. But the injury is actually not serious, it can only be regarded as a minor injury. It will not have any impact on his strength. Stare straight ahead. Looking at the red fist mark on Wilhelm's abdomen, Akainu's face was gloomy. Is it the same as Charlotte Linlin, with steel skin that is invulnerable to guns and guns? I received a dark hound from me, but it didn't cause any obvious injuries. It's true. Monster. He believed in continuous use of that elusive teleportation ability. For this little kid from the Charlotte family, it is definitely not a small consumption, and it will not be as easy as it seems. Over time, his physical strength gradually drained away, and he didn't believe how long the other party could last. But having said that, Sakazuki didn't think so naively that this extremely cunning guy would foolishly fight him to the end. I don't want to waste it like this anymore. Therefore, with previous experience, he deliberately showed his flaws to attract the opponent's attack. Because, even if there is no time limit for the ability to transfer fruits, he believes that there is a limit to the ability of people to respond. He believes that the other party cannot be endless and can maintain the best state all the time. Prepare to rely on the terrible attack power of lava fruit. At the cost of minor injuries, a dark hound will completely end the opponent's life. Nip this huge threat in the bud. In order to prevent the other party from seeing the situation is not good and fleeing directly after a long time. After all, with that strange ability of being able to move in an instant and making it impossible to guard against, if Wilhelm wanted to escape, even if he shot with all his strength, he would not be able to stop the opponent at all. I would rather pay a certain price than kill the opponent. Relying on his rich combat experience just now, he has already charged forward for a long time. His strategy did work, but it also failed, successfully lured Wilhelm into the trap. The price is to hastily condense the Haki defense that covers the whole body, and the two armament Haki are intertwined with astonishing electric light, and the sword edge that comes from the force is torn apart, and the left shoulder is drawn two not deep, shallow wounds. However, he also grasped Wilhelm's ability to transfer fruit just now, and his whole body muscles were tense, and his brain was extremely excited, of stagnation. So it can be said that the infinite is close to 0 seconds, ordinary people can't detect it, and it is impossible to grasp the gaps and flaws of this opportunity. Akainu, who has experienced many battles, sharp eyes and extremely rich experience, has grasped it perfectly. An extremely fierce, dark hound hit Wilhelm, who was caught off guard and had no time to dodge, with lightning speed and merciless momentum. Hit the opponent's abdomen hard. Let Wilhelm, who had just swung his knife to tear through his hockey defense and slashed his shoulder, didn't even have time to activate his ability to dodge. After being bombarded by the Dark Hound, he vomited blood and flew out. He was able to activate the ability to transfer the fruit, and the whole person disappeared there. All of this happened in the blink of an eye. It can be described as wonderful and dazzling. But what made Akainu a little surprised and angry? However, Dark Hound, who was always invincible, did not kill those pirates this time, directly burning through his abdomen. It can only be severely injured. Even, only a few burn marks could be left on the incredibly tough skin with amazing defenses. Failed to compete. Charlotte Linlin, that abnormal crazy woman, is really a freak. Akainu stared directly at the silver-white figure in front of him surrounded by lightning. His body was full of murderous intent, but his mouth was full of sarcasm. He has personally verified how weird the other party is. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, who would have imagined, and who would have believed that this little devil from the Charlotte family already possessed such amazing fighting power at the mere 15-year-old? Whatever you say today, try to keep Charlotte Wilhelm as much as possible. Otherwise, once this young monster of the Charlotte family grows up with its terrifying potential, there will be endless troubles. This is an innate talent, and it's useless if you envy it. Wiping bloodline from the corner of his mouth, Wilhelm sneered back. No matter how hard you try, your physique is destined to be impossible to reach this level. Your potential is almost at the end. The future can only be limited to this, but my future has infinite possibilities. You, the loyal dog of the world government, can only lie on the ground forever, looking up at the sky dragon in the middle. For the strong with the mouth, attacking the heart is the best? Who the hell can't talk a lot? However, he didn't intend to directly use the natural tooth's ability to heal fruit to heal himself. From the very beginning, Wilhelm went out of his way to find him. In addition to verifying how far he is from Akainu. In addition, in order to fully check the results of my practice over the years, see how far my limit is, and take the opportunity to continuously sharpen myself. It has to be admitted that going all out to fight these top powerhouses in the sea has made his fighting nerves more tense than ever before, and the hormones in his body have been excited to the ultimate level, and Wilhelm has gradually begun to enjoy the fun of this kind of fighting. There's no need to get hurt, just treat yourself in such a hurry without affecting your own combat effectiveness. Not to mention, Tian Shengya's ability to heal fruit is not unlimited, and he also needs to use his physical strength to support it, which requires a lot of physical strength. There is no need for that just yet. Crack, crack. Waves on rough sea. Sakazuki was extremely ferocious, and rushed out of the atmosphere. A rotten pirate with evil blood flowing in his bones. What is the future talking about? Charlotte's kid, your future is to be buried here. His fists were clenched tightly, his veins bulged, and he violently waved that incomparably hot magma fist in an instant. Without hesitation, he once again launched a stormy offensive towards Wilhelm in front of him. Murderous, full of combat power, no reservations. Who? Who? The magma fist marks all over the sky rubbed against the air violently, turning into afterimages. The atmosphere was torn apart like lightning, and they rushed over one after another. Dazzling. Clang. Clang. The cold light intertwined, blocking the hot fist marks that came one by one. The sound of gold and iron clashing was sharp and ear-piercing, and large swaths of sparks kept splashing away. Blessed with high-level armament hockey, the incomparably hot magma fist is harder than steel. But during the strong collision, Wilhelm was still shaken by the monster-like power again and flew straight out. His hands were numb and trembling irregularly. The seven-star sword and Tianshengya almost came out of their hands. This monster-like power. Looking at the murderous Akainu in front of him, stepping on the atmosphere violently, and killing Akainu without hesitation. Feeling his tingling arms, Wilhelm had to admit that Akainu, the admiral candidate, was really amazing. The terrifying strength that has been cultivated through continuous training and tempering all year round, the powerful physique that perfectly matches the Logia lava fruit's ability, the incomparably rich combat experience, and the ability that is completely superior to Wilhelm armament hockey, observation hockey. Even on the surface of the sea, with that weird and unpredictable fruit transfer ability, Wilhelm couldn't directly gain the advantage, and couldn't suppress the opponent by half a point. If it is on land, it will face Akainu who has a foothold and is fully armed. I'm afraid that he has already been injured, but that's what makes it interesting. Hey! The legs kept kicking the air. Wilhelm, holding himself in midair, looked ahead at Akainu, who had a murderous face ahead of him. The corner of his mouth immediately grinned, and he couldn't stop laughing. You're getting me excited, Akainu. Not only did his expression not have the slightest fear, but it was full of excitement, joy, and frenzy. His eyes were scorching, extremely blazing. The fighting spirit was unprecedentedly high. Hia. The whole body began to flicker and intertwine with astonishing electric lights, and every cell in the body seemed to be jumping and cheering. The momentum of the whole person changed, changing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Shave. Akainu stomped on his feet, his speed was as fast as lightning. Looking at the monster like Wilhelm who had undergone a huge change, his pupils narrowed sharply, and he was a little surprised. That guy. Isn't it a Paramecia ability user, but a Phantom Beast ability user that is rarer than Logia? Roar. But there was a flash of lightning. Silver-white long hair fluttered, and thick snow-white hair grew continuously all over his body. Wilhelm, who looked like a beast, did not give Akainu, who was directly in front of him, a chance to take advantage of the victory and pursue him. The whole person disappeared in place. The next moment, it appeared directly behind Sakazuki. At this time, his eyes became extremely scarlet, filled with a tyrannical and crazy aura, and his incomparably strong body swelled, reaching a height of more than 3 meters. And on that hideous and frightening face, the teeth were extremely sharp. The hands with extremely sharp nails have almost turned into real sharp claws, shining coldly. That incomparably violent aura kept rising, terrifying and fierce. It is chilling to be completely different from before. Sigh, chirp. Surrounded by intertwined electric light. He holds natural teeth in one hand and the 7-star sword in the other. He did not hesitate to use the moon lion form, the potential hidden in his body was fully activated, and Wilhelm was like a beast out of the cage, with full combat power. Whether it is speed, strength, etc., or hockey, which is not weak, it has skyrocketed exponentially. In a short period of time, he has achieved great improvement and leap. Double swords, double flying dragon. The veins in both arms popped up, accumulating energy there. With one knife and one sword swung high, traces of astonishing electric lights flashed, jumped, and slashed out fiercely. Ho! 2 huge light green slashes turned into 2 lifelike dragons that appeared out of thin air, intertwined with terrifying lightning, and bared their teeth and claws there. Roaring there, the storm came directly. Relying on observation hockey's prediction, Sakazuki did not panic. The moment he turned around, the bubbling magma fist had already slammed out fiercely. The dog gnaws the red lotus. The right fist swung brazenly, and a massive amount of magma suddenly gushed out, turning into a giant dog of extremely hot magma. Roar. In an instant, the red, ferocious giant magma dog opened its terrifyingly hot bloody mouth, which seemed to be able to swallow and melt everything. Bite out without showing any weakness, he slashed at the 2 huge flying dragons that suddenly attacked. Boom. Woo-hoo-hoo, clatter. The loud noise shook the sky. A large amount of magma splashes. The extremely hot airwaves could not stop raging. The entire sea boiled, and the sky was reflected incomparably red. The monstrous huge waves couldn't stop rolling there, rushing towards all directions. Scrub. Kang. Clang. Boom. Afterimage bursts. It's too fast to see clearly, it's dazzling. After turning into a moon lion, Wilhelm's size skyrocketed to more than 3 meters, almost the same as Sakazuki. The astonishing electric light kept flickering, the hot magma splashed, and the 2 figures kept stepping on the atmosphere, where they clashed crazily. Holding the natural tooth and the 7-star sword, both of which have been greatly enhanced after the moon lion transformation, and the electric and hockey who are completely different from the previous level, Wilhelm's figure is as fast as lightning. Whether it's speed, strength, or even the speed of nerve response, it's all greatly improved. In an instant, the sky was full of his figure. Dazzling and overwhelming. Even if Akainu tried to repeat the trick again and again, he couldn't catch the previous flaw. On the contrary, there were a few shocking bloody mouths left on his body. It's so dangerous, it's frightening. The same strategy, do you think it will work again? In midair, Wilhelm's voice echoed, full of sarcasm. But the speed and frequency of the attacks did not slow down at all. He knew that his moon lion form would not last long, so regardless of physical exertion, he used the ability to transfer fruit at a very high frequency, and crazily swung his sword to attack. Akainu, the admiral candidate with monster-like strength, couldn't help but stand on end, his nerves were highly tense, and he didn't dare to be careless. Several dangers arose and I almost couldn't handle it. Clang. Clang. Above the turbulent sea. The clashing sound of gold and iron was endless and extremely ear-piercing. The figure of Wilhelm is all over the sky, making people dazzled, and it is impossible to distinguish whether it is real or not. If it weren't for Akainu's observation hockey and armament hockey, both were strong enough to barely predict Wilhelm's aura, and the high-level armament hockey was like invisible steel armor, indestructible. Already decapitated. Don't get carried away over there, kid, you're still a long way off. Constantly stepping on the air and staying in the air, the whole body tense up, and Sakazuki, who is always on guard, turned black. The observation haki, which is not weak, is turned on all the way, anticipating attacks that may come from all directions at any time, and constantly waving red-hot magma fists, distorting the atmosphere. Continuously and irregularly, the swords that struck from all directions collided. Even Wilhelm's haki strength still can't be compared with him, but it is undoubtedly much stronger than before, and it can already pose a certain threat to him. If you are too careless, it may really be planted here. His chest, shoulders, arms. Those few bloody, deep bone wounds, and the burning pain that came from time to time. It is an unforgettable lesson. Clang clang, clang clang. I saw countless figures flashing above the sea, relying on the mysterious and unpredictable ability to transfer fruits. Holding the 7-star sword and natural fang, his whole body was intertwined with blazing electric light, and Wilhelm, who was incomparably violent, kept flickering all over his body, making it dizzying for the eyes. The naked eye can't tell which figure is him, or every figure is the real him. In a short time, I don't know how many times I collided with Akainu again. The sound of clanging like gold and iron colliding can be heard endlessly. The astonishing airwaves made people unable to open their eyes and made the sea boil endlessly. The hot magma splashed frantically made the sea surface below even more foggy. But the fight between the two is always instant. With previous lessons learned, Wilhelm didn't give Akainu any chance to fight back. Knowing the huge gap in strength between the two, he has no intention of confronting the other side at all. Just wanted to try and see if he could keep Akainu, Naval Headquarters Admiral, with the advantage of the location. As a demon fruit power, just drive it into the sea. Sakazuki, the future Admiral of Headquarters, was doomed. No matter how strong he is, he will still be unable to resist the curse of the sea on demon fruit power. Even, from the frequency of attacks from all directions without dead ends. The most times is to launch a top-down slash from the sky above Akainu, trying to blast it into the sea in vain. It's a pity that, among the dignified naval headquarters, one of the few powerful vice admirals who are recognized as courageous and resourceful, and the future admiral candidate, how can Akainu be a simple person? He was extremely vigilant, even aware of Wilhelm's motives immediately. Relying on his tyrannical strength, he always pays attention to the distance between himself and the sea, and deliberately guards against the opponent's surprise attack from above him. Even if Wilhelm tried his best, he couldn't get his whole body close to the surface of the sea. Even in the fierce battle, Sakazuki used Wilhelm's sword to fight and retreat intentionally or unintentionally, pushing the battlefield towards Gaia Island.